What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
7 BD. Chapter 146 Redhead's Anxiety, Aokiji's Justice. Advertisement. If it is said, Kaido or the Ant took advantage of Whitebeard's battle with Marine to sneak attack on Whitebeard's territory. Shanks wouldn't be surprised. However, the two people got together and looked like they were going to jow Marineford in the muddy waters. So Shanks had to wonder whether there was someone in charge. Kaido and Auntie are not fools, of course they will not tell Shanks the real reason. Kaido smiled. Shen. After all, Marine is the enemy of all our pirates. Taking the opportunity to destroy Marine is not right for us all. Destroy Marine. Shanks was shocked. Well, 74-0. Well. The Ant also smiled. This idea is very good, as long as Marine is eliminated, this sea will be our world. The two will not speak out about Dover, but it doesn't mean that they can't say the purpose of their trip. In fact, after thinking about the two, Shanks is also a pirate, and he should be happy to hear that they are going to destroy Marine. However, Kaido and Auntie were wrong. At the beginning, among the four emperors of Dover, there was a reason why Shanks alone did not come into contact with them. That's the identity of Shanks. No one knows the true identity of Shanks. Or it has something to do with five elders and even the mysterious Lord Yim. Or the descendants of the former maritime overlord Rocks, never known. But the only certainty is that Shanks can meet five elders alone, and he must have an unexplainable relationship with the world government. Sure enough, Shanks' face changed a lot when he heard Kaido and Auntie were about to destroy Marine. No, absolutely not. Marine's strength is not as simple as the surface. More importantly, it is not yet time to eliminate Marine. But, advertisement. This is the end of the matter. How could Kaido and Auntie give up halfway? Shanks also knew that he could not stop the four emperors in front of him, and he was anxious. Turned his head and ordered Beckman. Hurry up, sail. I want to get to Marineford as quickly as possible to stop this war that is bound to cause disastrous consequences. Beckman knows the Redhead's character well, and knows that this matter is probably not trivial, so he immediately ordered the helmsman to move forward at full speed. Since Shanks only brought one ship, and Kaido brought the entire fleet. In terms of speed, Shanks is naturally faster. The red-haired boy thought he was just an intern on Roger's ship. Auntie saw Shanks leaving so arrogantly, she let out a cry. The expression on Kaido's face was a little dark. He wants to stop the war, but that's impossible. We must also rush to Marineford as soon as possible. Marine headquarters, Marineford, facing the endless huge tsunami that swept from all directions. The Marines were pale, and there was panic in their eyes. At this critical moment, among the three Admiral, Aokiji stood up. Well, although there are indeed different positions for justice, I can't let such a person die here. This argument about justice is what Aokiji said after going to Dover after World War I. After deep thinking, Aokiji feels that this argument does have some truth. However, Aokiji still has no clear idea of how to balance the justice of these opposites. What is true justice? Let's leave this question for later. The war in front of him, Aokiji also has something he must stick to. I saw Aokiji leaping forward, leaping to the sky, arms spread out. Advertisement. Ice Age. Two icicles shot out from Aokiji's palm and touched the huge tsunami on the sea. Zzz. Upon contact, the tsunami stopped. Then, in the blink of an eye, the huge tsunami was frozen. It makes the whole Marineford look like it has been inhabited by a circle of icebergs. Dover looked at the circle of icebergs. This mountain saved Marineford from the disaster of extinction. Not only that, it also surrounded the people under the Whitebeard pirates, making them lose their way of retreat. In the original book, Akainu took advantage of this and successfully instigated the ghost spider, making the latter stab Whitebeard. But this time, Dover smiled faintly. This time it won't be like in the original book again, because the iceberg around here will soon be broken by the upcoming redheads, Kaido, Ant and others. Boom. Aokiji fell from a high altitude onto the water of the port, and the whole port was frozen. Ha. Although the old man's tsunami was frozen by the ice, it also gave us a place to stay in 4.6. The members of the Whitebeard pirate group were so happy they jumped off the boat and killed Marine. And Aokiji did not attack Whitebeard like the original book this time. The justice of the government and the justice of Marine are no longer held in Aokiji's heart. He can't work hard for Marine. Let me see more things clearly in this war. And your purpose. Aokiji J-Ran turned his head, and looked at the man standing with his hands behind him, as if he was playing with Marine and four emperors in his palm. What is it again, Joker? Chapter 147 Ace Identity Exposure, Impel Down Status 3 more seeking subscription. Advertisement. Kill these Marines and rescue Ace. Tens of thousands of pirates under Whitebeard rushed into the port, shouting to kill the sky. Naturally, Marine was not to be outdone. Under the leadership of Marine Vice Admiral, they resisted the attack of the pirates. In just a few breaths, the two sides became entangled together, and the battle was like a fire. Although Marine has the advantage, the Whitebeard pirate group is indeed the strongest four emperors group. The strongest under the command, especially the captain level, even Marine Vice Admiral is not an opponent. Obviously, this battlefield cannot be ended in a short time. Sengoku seemed to know this too, and he never thought that he could defeat the Whitebeard pirates quickly. Sengoku still has one thing to do before the highest combat power of both sides comes on the court. That incident was also the main reason why Sengoku would not hesitate to start a war with the White-11 but also to publicly execute Ace. Sengoku took a deep breath, stared at Ace who was kneeling next to him, and said in a deep voice. Ace, tell everyone present, tell the world, who is your biological father? Ace, who was in a state of excitement because of his father's arrival, was shocked when he heard Sengoku's words. Ace clenched his teeth, with an expression of pain on his face, unwilling to answer this question. Say it, Ace. Sengoku continued to persecute. The scene at this moment has been presented in front of the entire world through the video phone worm. Enough. Garp on the side couldn't stand it anymore. There is no need to expose this matter in front of the entire world. No, Sengoku said coldly, that's necessary. Sengoku took the amplified phone worm, and his voice echoed throughout the Marine headquarters and even the world. Marine decided to publicly execute Ace, the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates. It's not without reason. Advertisement. Because Ace's true identity. As the son of One Piece King Dear D. Roger. Wow. These words, like a bolt from the blue sky, blasted into everyone's hearts. The involuntary pirates and seamen who were fighting also involuntarily stopped their movements and were dumbfounded. The entire Marine headquarters, as well as all parts of the world that heard this sentence, fell into an instantaneous silence. Ace, he is actually the son of One Piece Roger. Cannot believe it. The pirates under Whitebeard had a lot of discussions, including several captains who had a good relationship with Ace, and it was the first time I heard about this news. Pirates, Ace is the son of One Piece, and Whitebeard concealed this information. Sengoku's voice sounded again. Do you know what this means? This means that Whitebeard actually wants Ace to be the next One Piece. You came here and you were all deceived by Whitebeard. Psychological warfare. Sengoku was fighting psychological warfare. Regardless of whether the pirates under Whitebeard believed him or not, they would inevitably hesitate in their hearts. And as long as you hesitate, even if it is only a trace, Sengoku, known as the resourceful general, can use it to increase Marine's odds by 1 point. Father, is what Sengoku said true? Is Ace really Roger's son? You really deceived us. Do you want to push Ace into the position of Shanghai Pirate King? As expected by Sengoku, the pirates were shaken and questioned Whitebeard. Sengoku smiled triumphantly, and whispered to the herald next to him. Advertisement. Let the order go on, turn off the video phone worm, the next scene, you don't need to let the world know. Yes, Master Marshal. The messenger goes down. However, as soon as this person Fang left the realization of Sengoku, his eyes suddenly stiffened, and then a strange color flashed. No one noticed that at this moment Dover's fingers, as if they were playing the piano, jogged lightly. A thread that no one could detect entered the herald's body. When the messenger reached the person controlling the video phone worm, he was not talking about shutting down, but asking them to call in more video phone worms. This is Marshal Sengoku's order. The messenger said. When more video phone bugs were brought up, Dover smiled slightly. Xiao Buddha, the real good show hasn't started yet, how can the medium to the world be cut off so early? Point 740. At the time when the situation in Marineford was unpredictable, the big prison known as the world government Impel Down. At this moment, there is a huge crisis that Sengoku can't imagine. Thief ha ha ha, is this Impel Down? It is extraordinary. Blackbeard Teach, together with his crew, is at the gate of Impel Down. Because of the outbreak of the war on the top, the defense of the current Impel Down is also unprecedentedly slack. Chapter 148 Impel Down is in chaos, Crocodile is here again. Advertisement. Blackbeard and his group enter Impel Down. Going down to the 3rd floor very smoothly. It's weird. Marine has transferred most of its military power to Marineford, but the defense here shouldn't be so loose either. Navigator Lafayette said puzzledly. They came across only sporadic obstacles along the way, without even decent resistance. This is very abnormal. You must know that Impel Down is ultimately the powerhouse of the world government, and no matter what, the defense cannot be slackened. There is something wrong. There was also a flash of suspiciousness in Blackbeard's eyes. The situation at this moment of Impel Down is really weird. There was an unexplainable premonition in Blackbeard's heart, and even the urge to make him want to turn around and run away. But that is impossible. They were all here, and they fled Tenton with a little premonition. Not to mention that Blackbeard was unwilling, and Badgers and others under his team would not agree. Thief ha ha ha. Thinking of this, Blackbeard's eyes turned, and he smiled on his face. Maybe the prisoners on the lower floors rebelled, and their troops were all deployed and suppressed. If Blackbeard knew that his joking remarks to stabilize the military's spirit had come to an end, I am afraid that he would wish to lick his own mouth. Because, not long before the arrival of Blackbeard and his party, Impel Down did break out a prisoner rebellion. And, it's not as simple as the following layers, but at the lowest level, eternal hell. Time went back to a quarter of an hour ago. Shiryu Rain, the second character of Impel Down, received a call that he had been waiting for a long time. You finally called. It seems that the war has already begun. Quote. Advertisement. On the other side of the phone, Dover's voice came. The trend of the times is about to reach its peak. Virgo has already told you very clearly. Certainly. Shiryu grinned. More than a year ago, Wilgo came to Impel Down and informed Shiryu of the plan to destroy Impel Down. Subordinates have been waiting for this day for a long time, Lord Doflamingo. Hang up the phone. Shiryu drew the long knife from his waist, and the blood in his body gradually boiled, and the infinite desire for killing exploded on him. Finally, we can kill well. Shiryu left the room. Step by step towards the 6th floor. Everyone he meets, whether it is a prisoner or a prison guard, is in the same face and is sealed by Shiryu. When you reach the 6th floor, the prisoners and guards who died in Shiryu's hands are no more than 100. Such a big movement naturally alarmed the warden who was having diarrhea, Magellan who was capable of poisonous fruit. Shiryu, what are you doing? Magellan was angry and asked Shiryu. What are you doing? Ha 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 ha. Shiryu licked the blood on the blade, and laughed mockingly. Magellan, you are too naive. You only know to be a running dog of the marine government. I don't know that the era is undergoing tremendous changes. What did you say? Magellan was shocked on the spot. And then, an unbelievable scene happened to Magellan. I saw the most closely guarded 6th floor, all cages made of sea stone. The door was actually opened. Advertisement. Impossible, where did you get the key? Magellan couldn't believe her eyes. One by one, the prisoners full of evil spirits came out of the cage. Evil King Abaro Pizarro, Black Moon Hunter Caitlin Butterfly Beauty, Giant Battleship San Juan Evil Wolf, Big Wine Basque Chote. There is also the original 7 Warlords of the Sea, which was placed in the back of Impel Down by Dover Early. Sand Crocodile, whole Shiryu, these are all good things you did. Magellan was so angry that he couldn't be more angry at this time, and his whole body trembled. Release these criminals, do you know what it means, Shiryu? Shiryu sneered coldly. It's boring, Magellan doesn't seem to understand the situation yet. He turned his head to look at the sand crocodile walking to the forefront step by step. Are you going to kill this guy? Warn in advance, don't underestimate Magellan, he is the biggest hindrance to our action. Crocodile twisted his neck and made a rattling noise. Zhao, compared to Shiryu, Crocodile, who was first sent here by Dover, undoubtedly waited longer. The indifferent eyes seemed to penetrate Magellan directly, looking at Dover at Marineford. And Dover, as if feeling a little, glanced in the direction of Impel Down. The action over there must have begun. Buddha Xiao Xiao, the world's first prison. Copper and iron walls. Ha ha ha, it's time to destroy it. With the emergence of this idea, Impel Down was completely plunged into an unprecedented chaos. Thank you, Zero Shi Bayan, for your 500 VIP rewards. Chapter 148 Impel Down is in chaos, Crocodile is here again. Advertisement. Blackbeard and his group enter Impel Down. Going down to the 3rd floor very smoothly. It's weird. Marine has transferred most of its military power to Marineford, but the defense here shouldn't be so loose either. Navigator Lafayette said puzzledly. They came across only sporadic obstacles along the way, without even decent resistance. This is very abnormal. You must know that Impel Down is ultimately the powerhouse of the world government, and no matter what, the defense cannot be slackened. There is something wrong. There was also a flash of suspiciousness in Blackbeard's eyes. The situation at this moment of Impel Down is really weird. There was an unexplainable premonition in Blackbeard's heart, and even the urge to make him want to turn around and run away. But that is impossible. They were all here, and they fled Tenton with a little premonition. Not to mention that Blackbeard was unwilling, and Badgers and others under his team would not agree. Thief ha ha ha. Thinking of this, Blackbeard's eyes turned, and he smiled on his face. Maybe the prisoners on the lower floors rebelled, and their troops were all deployed and suppressed. If Blackbeard knew that his joking remarks to stabilize the military's spirit had come to an end, I am afraid that he would wish to lick his own mouth. Because, not long before the arrival of Blackbeard and his party, Impel Down did break out a prisoner rebellion. And, it's not as simple as the following layers, but at the lowest level, eternal hell. Time went back to a quarter of an hour ago. Shiryu Rain, the second character of Impel Down, received a call that he had been waiting for a long time. You finally called, it seems that the war has already begun. Quote. Advertisement. On the other side of the phone, Dover's voice came. The trend of the times is about to reach its peak, Virgo has already told you very clearly. Certainly, Shiryu grinned. More than a year ago, Wilgo came to Impel Down and informed Shiryu of the plan to destroy Impel Down. Subordinates have been waiting for this day for a long time, Lord Doflamingo. Hang up the phone. Shiryu drew the long knife from his waist, and the blood in his body gradually boiled, and the infinite desire for killing exploded on him. Finally, we can kill well. Shiryu left the room. Step by step towards the 6th floor. Everyone he meets, whether it is a prisoner or a prison guard, is in the same face and is sealed by Shiryu. When you reach the 6th floor, the prisoners and guards who died in Shiryu's hands are no more than 100. Such a big movement naturally alarmed the warden who was having diarrhea, Magellan who was capable of poisonous fruit. Shiryu, what are you doing? Magellan was angry and asked Shiryu. What are you doing? Ha 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 ha. Shiryu licked the blood on the blade, and laughed mockingly. Magellan, you are too naive. You only know to be a running dog of the marine government. I don't know that the era is undergoing tremendous changes. What did you say? Magellan was shocked on the spot. And then, an unbelievable scene happened to Magellan. I saw the most closely guarded 6th floor, all cages made of sea stone. The door was actually opened. Advertisement. Impossible, where did you get the key? Magellan couldn't believe her eyes. One by one, the prisoners full of evil spirits came out of the cage. Evil King Abaro Pizarro, Black Moon Hunter Caitlin Butterfly Beauty, Giant Battleship San Juan Evil Wolf, Big Wine Basque Chote. There is also the original 7 Warlords of the Sea, which was placed in the back of Impel Down by Dover Early. Sand Crocodile, Crocodile. Whole Shiryu, these are all good things you did. Magellan was so angry that he couldn't be more angry at this time, and his whole body trembled. Release these criminals, do you know what it means, Shiryu? Shiryu sneered coldly. It's boring, Magellan doesn't seem to understand the situation yet. He turned his head to look at the sand crocodile walking to the forefront step by step. Are you going to kill this guy? Warn in advance, don't underestimate Magellan, he is the biggest hindrance to our action. Crocodile twisted his neck and made a rattling noise. Zhao, compared to Shiryu, Crocodile, who was first sent here by Dover, undoubtedly waited longer. The indifferent eyes seemed to penetrate Magellan directly, looking at Dover at Marineford. And Dover, as if feeling a little, glanced in the direction of Impel Down. The action over there must have begun. Buddha Xiaoxiao, the world's first prison. Copper and iron walls. Ha ha ha, it's time to destroy it. With the emergence of this idea, Impel Down was completely plunged into an unprecedented chaos. Chapter 149 Akainu's Conspiracy, Dumbfounded Blackbeard, Seeking Subscription. Advertisement. Marineford. The situation is ever-changing. The pirates who had attacked Marine aggressively became suspicious because of Sengoku's words. In particular, the 43 pirate groups that Whitebeard killed and came to help out from New World were even more panicked. Father, answer quickly, is what Marine said is true? Standing on the mobile, Whitebeard's face sank like water. After fighting with Sengoku for decades, he didn't know how the opponent was fighting psychological warfare. But, even if he knew that the other party was playing tricks, Whitebeard could do nothing. Because Sengoku uses smart tricks, and with Whitebeard's character, it is impossible to lie. I'm afraid Sengoku has already calculated this point. The resourceful General Sengoku, you are still a treasured sword. Whitebeard took a deep breath. The matter was over and there was no point in concealing it. Little ones, Whitebeard yelled, everyone's eyes were attracted to him. Ace is indeed Roger's son. But, this war is not fought because Ace is Roger's son, but because Ace is our 743 companion. Also, I, Whitebeard, will never betray my son. Sound like thunder. All the pirates were shocked. Yes, Ace is our companion, even if he is Roger's son. Daddy won't betray us. Follow Daddy and rescue Ace. A silent psychological battle was finally settled by Whitebeard's prestige. Huh, I'm finally all right. Marco let out a sigh of relief. He was really worried just now, before he defeated Marine, he would be messed up first. However, Marco did not know that despite the prestige of Whitebeard for decades, 99% of pirates still believe in Whitebeard. However, one person still had a tingling pain in his heart. This person is Scudard, the great vortex spider. Squard has an enmity with Roger, so unlike others, he can easily accept the fact that Ace is Roger's son. As for Marine, it seems that Scudard has already been investigated for this flaw. Advertisement. A red figure appeared in front of Scudard. Marine Admiral, Akainu. Squard was taken aback and quickly raised the sword in his hand. Akainu looked at Scudard sarcastically and mocked. Are you going to work hard for Whitebeard? It's ridiculous, I don't even know if I was sold. What did you say? Whitebeard knows that you and Roger have hatred, but keeps concealing Ace's identity from you, haven't you awakened yet? Squad's face turned pale. Akainu knew that the person's heart had been shaken, and his eyes flashed with coldness, and continued to add fire. Look at the surrounding icebergs again. Your escape route has been completely cut off. Whitebeard has signed an agreement with Marine. As long as you alien pirates die, Ace and Whitebeard pirates will survive. What? Scudard trembled and his face was unbelievable. Impel Down. The 6th floor of Eternal Hell. An unprecedented chaos broke out. Although Magellan led almost all the defensive power of Impel Down, the opponents were Shiryu, Crocodile, and the monsters on the 6th floor. The strength gap in the top combat power cannot be made up by small soldiers. You bastards, all die in the pain of poison. The large prison suffered unprecedented destruction, and the defense was even more deadly. Even the deputy warden Hannibal also died. Magellan's eyes are splitting, almost crazy. His whole body turned into purple venom in an instant. Beg. Poison dragon. Poison pufferfish. Poison giant soldier. Countless venom, almost all over the 6th layer. Magellan is crazy, don't get his venom. Shiryu, with a cigarette in his mouth, reminded. However, even though Magellan was extremely powerful, he couldn't withstand so many powerful players. Just to Shiryu, Magellan needs a lot of money. What's more, powerful monsters such as Sand Crocodile and Evil King must be added. Even with Magellan's reckless play, after all, he couldn't stop him for too long. Advertisement. Soon, Magellan overused his power and fainted. Just when Shiryu was about to cut Magellan's head, his figure was suddenly rescued by a blue shadow, and he jumped into the sea in the blink of an eye and disappeared. It's Seaman Jinbe. Cronkerdle looked at the direction where the blue figure disappeared and said. Jinbe was imprisoned in Impel Down because he was unwilling to fight Whitebeard. The man escaped in the chaos just now and took the opportunity to rescue Magellan. Even if Magellan doesn't die this time, he will be abolished. Shiryu sneered. Jinbe is a murloc, so naturally it is impossible for everyone to chase after him. What's more, their goal has also been achieved. Just the last step. Bury Impel Down to the bottom of the sea forever. This big prison, known as the Bronze Wall and Iron Wall, will become history from now on. If it spreads out, it will surely shock the world. Crocodile exclaimed. Although they did this unprecedented brilliant move. But everything is actually under the remote control of that man. At first, when Crocodile had just surrendered to Dover, there was still some dissatisfaction. But at this moment, it is already convinced. It can be destroyed by the Impel Down of the invisible Vice Admiral without showing up. Apart from that man, who can do it? Just as Crocodile was shocked and admired by Dover's unpredictable methods. Da da da, the sound of messy footsteps came from above. Is anyone still dead, Gia? A bloodthirsty color flashed in Shiryu's eyes. Looking at the figures that appeared at the stairs, they couldn't help being stunned. But at the moment, standing at the top of the stairs, the few people who just came down from above are even more dazed than Shiryu. No, not only dumbfounded, but also shocked, so that the eyeballs are about to fall off. This is the 6th floor of Eternal Hell. Looking at the corpses, blood, and venom all over the floor, especially the prisoners he wanted to conquer during this trip, they stared at him as if they were prey. Blackbeard was dumbfounded. Chapter 150 Sad Blackbeard, 3 more seeking subscriptions. Advertisement. At this moment, Blackbeard looks like a black question mark face. Originally, his calculation was to rescue the criminals on the 6th floor, so as to make them surrender to himself. However, looking at the current situation, he hasn't rescued them, and these most vicious criminals have already come out. And, they looked at Blackbeard's eyes at the moment, and Blackbeard also made a choke in his heart. Blackbeard insisted not to panic, and smiled. Who can anyone tell me what's going on here thing? Badges haha said, Captain, I was hit by you. The criminals really rebelled. They seem to have won. This will save us time. Blackbeard can't wait to slap Badgers, doesn't he have eyes for these obvious things? The crux of the problem is that the current situation is too weird and obviously not that simple. Who is this dark guy? Crocodile frowned and looked at the group of uninvited guests on the opposite side. He has been impelled down these years, and in the early years, when he challenged Whitebeard, he didn't pay attention to the hidden and extremely low-key Blackbeard. Therefore, Crocodile does not yet know Blackbeard. He is Blackbeard Teach, the new Shichibukai who replaces you. Shiryu explained, and immediately looked at it playfully. Blackbeard, as Shichibukai, you are not on the battlefield. What are you doing here? Blackbeard's expression stagnated, and he said lightly if he avoided the seriousness. Just now, no one has answered me. Also, Yuji Shiryu, as the head guard of Impel Down, it is very unreasonable to stay with this group of criminals. Both sides are testing, but Crocodile didn't have the thought and time, and said coldly. Instead of my Shichibukai, the nameless guy, Marine really doesn't have any eyes. But since I met it, let's kill it. Having said that, we must do it. Wait, Blackbeard yelled hurriedly, ignoring the temptation, and directly stated his intentions. My trip is actually here to save you. Now Marine is fighting with the Whitebeard pirates, I can't take care of this side, I am here to rescue you from here. Save us. Crocodile stopped. Yes, advertisement. Although I haven't figured out what happened here just now, Blackbeard can only be a dead horse doctor. He gritted his teeth and explained the purpose. After this war, the era belonging to Whitebeard will definitely end. And the next era. Blackbeard clenched his fists and made a loud voice. It belongs to me, Blackbeard Teach. Are you willing to follow me and create a new era together? Blackbeard's eyes made no secret of his huge ambition, and after speaking, he looked to the opposite side expectantly. Although he didn't rescue these people personally, Blackbeard was confident that, with his own strength and spirit, it was enough to make these people surrender to him. But unexpectedly, in response to Blackbeard, it was a crazy laugh. Ha 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 ha, Lousy is laughing to death, this guy wants us to follow him. I don't know how high the sky is. Hee la la la. My tears are almost bursting out of laughter. The Eternal Hell and other prisoners of the former Eternal Hell, clutching their stomachs, laughed wildly. Blackbeard was dumbfounded again. What are you laughing at? Badgers, Lafayette and others were also astonished. Shiryu snorted. Blackbeard, it seems that you don't know anything, you are already in charge. Yes, there is a master. Blackbeard opened his mouth wide and couldn't believe his ears. Who would have subdued these villains before him? Who is it? Don't talk nonsense with him, kill them. Crocodile said impatiently, turning his body into countless sand, and rushed towards Blackbeard. It seems you can only go to hell and ask the Lord. Please ask for flowers. Shiryu gave a bloodthirsty smile and drew the long sword. Advertisement. The evil king and the others also showed brutality and leaned towards Blackbeard and his party. Blackbeard's face changed drastically. The development of the matter is completely different from his original plan. What to do, Captain? Badgers panicked. What else? Blackbeard roared. Since they don't know each other, kill them. Seeing a fierce face, he slammed his hands on the ground. Black water dark cave road. A wisp of black air spread from his hands to the surroundings. It's just that the speed of spread is too slow for the strong people present. A boring trick. Crocodile easily covered Blackbeard's black water with sand, and then he flashed and came to Blackbeard's front. Blackbeard was caught off guard, and Crocodile caught his neck in a face-to-face encounter. Captain. Badgers and others were shocked and hurried to rescue Blackbeard, but Shiryu and others stopped him. Don't kill me. Blackbeard begged for mercy. He still has too many ambitions to realize, how can he die here? As Shichibukai who replaces me, this is too weak. However, the sand crocodile simply ignored Blackbeard's begging for mercy, and the palm of his hand turned into sand, instantly sucking Blackbeard into a human being. When Blackbeard was dying, a few words drilled in his throat. Why? His head tilted and even his body was kicked to pieces by crocodile. In the original book, the biggest conspirator and careerist was so confused and dead. His plan was destined to lose all from the beginning. But until Blackbeard died, he didn't know how to lose. I don't even know who I lost to. For Marshall D. Teach, who has been hiding on the Whitebeard ship for decades, this is really the saddest way to die. Chapter 151 Jinbei's determination. Red hair arrived. 4 more flowers. Advertisement. Blackbeard is dead, and none of Badges and others under his team have been spared. With the joint efforts of Crocodile and Shiryu, Impel Down collapsed. The ruins were buried in the infinite ocean floor, leaving a huge Uzumaki in place, which could not be dissipated for a long time. On a small island a few kilometers away from Impel Down, a fat blue man carried Magellan in a coma on his back and landed ashore. Looking back, Jinbei happened to see Impel Down being destroyed, and there was endless horror in his heart. Crankerdle, they really are so bold. Jinbei didn't know Crocodile and the others, why would they have such confidence that they dare to commit the heinous crime of 743s, and are they not afraid that the world government will never die? However, Jinbei doesn't have time to think about that much at this time, he must rush to Marineford as soon as possible. Rescuing Magellan, Jinbei admits that he has repaid the favor of Marine that he has been in 7 Warlords of the Sea over the years. Next, he will fight for the old man Whitebeard and fight to save Ace. Even if you pay the price of your life for this, you will not hesitate. Marineford. Sengoku's psychological warfare, on the surface, seems to be ineffective. The pirates still believe in and respect Whitebeard, and the war with Marine has once again fallen into a stalemate. But in fact, when Sengoku saw Akainu returning, he knew that his true purpose was achieved. Aboard the Moby DK. At this moment, only Whitebeard was the only one, and the other captains all went down and fought with Marine. A figure walked up from behind Moby DK. Squad. Marco, who was not too far away from Moby DK, kept his attention on Dad's side. I found Scootard's figure, and asked suspiciously. Why are you here? Nothing. Scootard's Kaido was indifferent. There was a bad feeling in Marco's heart, and he always felt that Squad was a little strange. Advertisement. Especially when Skyard came in front of the old man, the bad feeling became more and more intense. Marco was about to say something, but it was too late. Skyard suddenly pulled out his long sword, his eyes flashed with incomparable hatred, and he even inserted the sword into Whitebeard's chest. Hey, did you finally do it? Sengoku and Akainu have been paying attention to the movement of the Moby DK. Seeing that Skyard successfully took the bait and drew his sword at Whitebeard, Akainu couldn't help but sneer on his face. However, just when Sengoku and Akainu thought that the strategy succeeded, Whitebeard was about to be hit hard. Suddenly, the earth shook violently. The Moby DK also shook violently. Squad was unstable, but the long sword was wiped from the edge of Whitebeard's chest. At the same time, the huge iceberg surrounding Marineford shattered every inch and broke away in a blink of an eye. What happened? What happened? The iceberg of Aokiji Admiral is actually broken. People were panicked, surprised, and wondering who made such a big move. What happened? Don't mention how annoyed Sengoku and Akainu were, they were about to seriously hurt Whitebeard, but they were ruined by this sudden shock. Who made the ghost? Come out to the old man. Sengoku shouted angrily. I looked at a place where the iceberg was broken and revealed. There, he felt an unusual aura. Sorry, everyone, this iceberg is too obstructive, and the movement is inevitably a bit louder. Advertisement. The ice fragments dispersed, and a boat emerged. And when everyone saw the person on the ship who had just spoken, they all couldn't help but breathe in air conditioning. 4 emperors, red-haired Shanks, why is he here? It turned out to be another 4 emperor. Is he a reinforcement of the Whitebeard pirate group? The redhead appeared suddenly, too suddenly. Even Sengoku's heart jumped suddenly. Whole redhead. Sengoku's original plan was basically aimed at Whitebeard alone. Now suddenly a red hair pops up and things become more and more difficult. Shichibukai over there. The smile at the corner of Dover's mouth seemed as if there was nothing. The timing of the red hair was just right. Otherwise, next, Whitebeard will be stabbed by the eldest son Skyard, which would be no fun. Of course, the arrival of red hair also means that Kaido and the ant should not be far away. Aside, the Empress Hancock saw the red hair for the first time. Is this the man who claims to have the strongest conquerors in the world? That's not great, it's nothing more than a stinky man. Hancock's beautiful eyes are arrogant. Except for Dover, no man in this world can see her 4.6. Red hair, do you want to intervene in the changes of this era? Hawkeye stared at the red hair, thinking silently. Whether it is marine or pirate, whether it is admiral or Shichibukai, they are all shocked and lost by the arrival of the red hair. Only Marco, who reacted for the first time, spread out the wings of the phoenix, rushed to Whitebeard's side in an instant, and kicked Squard away. Skyard, what did you just want to do? Do you want to assassinate old man? Marco's angry roar made the hearts of the people present again shocked. Someone is going to assassinate Whitebeard. Chapter 152 Whitebeard's anger, red hair blocking. Advertisement. People's eyes turned to the Moby DK. I saw that Marco was glaring at Squard, and the latter was staring at Whitebeard with a hateful look. Skyard, it is Skyard who is going to assassinate old man. Whole Skyard, is he crazy? The pirates yelled at Skyard. At this time, Whitebeard, who had been silent for a long time, finally made a sound. He stared at Skyard with a deep gaze. That kind of look made Skyard's body tremble. The majesty of Whitebeard is deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Everyone in the Whitebeard pirate group almost treats Dad as a godlike existence. Tell me, Skiyard, why? Whitebeard's majestic voice hit Skiyard's heart, and the latter gritted his teeth and said viciously. Don't admit it yet, Whitebeard. You have clearly conspired with Marine to betray our pirates and only protect Ace and the people on your own ship. Skuya 11 told him all the truth, Akainu told him. In the end, he shouted wildly. But, in the end, what makes me painful is that you know that Roger is my enemy, but you have taken in his son. Whitebeard, you are not sure to be your son at all. Skeward finished roaring and gasped, the grievance and anger in his heart exploded. Next, he was ready to endure Whitebeard's anger and closed his eyes and waited for death. So this is awe. Whitebeard fell into a moment of silence. He walked to Skiyard step by step and looked down at his poor son. Skiyard trembled all over, facing the daddy's gaze, he no longer had the courage to resist at this time. Whitebeard J. Ran put out his big hand. Skiyard's face was pale. Just when everyone thought Whitebeard was going to kill the latter. Whitebeard had Skiyard in his arms. Advertisement. Really my stupid son. A sad cry, makes Skuya dumbfounded on the spot. I did conceal Ace's identity, but why did the hatred of the previous generation spread to the innocent next generation? Have you ever had a good time with Ace? Skiyard was wooden, as if stupid. Whitebeard stood up. Someone asked, Father, are you really secretly allied with Marine? Are you all idiots? How could father do that? Marco roared angrily. Whitebeard did not answer directly, he faced Marine, Sengoku, and the whole Marineford. A low, suppressed angry voice came from his throat. It's ridiculous to say that I betrayed my son, it's a good way, Sengoku. Holding Kong Yunchi in his left hand, he felt tightly with the fist of his right hand. The muscles are bulging inch by inch, the blue veins are bulging, and an amazing and terrifying force is gathering on Whitebeard's right fist. Sengoku's face was very ugly at this time, and Akainu's face was also gloomy. They were really stealing rice this time. Blame damn its red hair. Sengoku was angry, but he was worthy of being Marshal Marine, and he calmed down extremely quickly. The situation has become quite bad, and he must calm down. You successfully angered me, just heard Whitebeard yell. Right fist wraps a circle of transparent energy balls. Next moment, the fist hits fiercely. Boom. Advertisement. The atmosphere burst in an instant. Extremely violent and terrifying waves, following the atmosphere, directly rushed into the port, and rushed to the place where Sengoku and other Marine high levels stood. Ah, help, help me. Where the terror wave passed, the ground cracked, and all Marine soldiers along the way were crushed to death. The screams came and went one after another. It is foreseeable that if such fluctuations are actually hit on the execution platform, the entire execution platform will be broken immediately. Never let the execution platform be destroyed. Sengoku immediately ordered, Akainu, Kizaru, Aokiji. 3 Admiral came to the bottom of the execution table together, stretched out his hands, and urged Haki. Buzz. The terror wave collided with 3 Admirals Haki, and finally disappeared. Humph. Is it blocked? Then what about the next punch? Whitebeard sneered, and the shock wave converged on his fist again. There is no need for the pain and torture in the original work, at this time Whitebeard's strength has not fallen too much. Wait a minute, Whitebeard. Just when Whitebeard was about to continue to show his power, Hongfa hurried to catch up. Huh. Whitebeard paused for a while, and the police glanced at the red hair and said lightly, What's the matter, red-haired boy, are you here to stop me again? When Ace went to chase Blackbeard, Redhead stopped Whitebeard once. The redhead was not good, and Whitebeard seemed impossible to listen to him. But this time the situation is different, Redhair must try to stop it anyway. Whitebeard, you can no longer fight Marine, otherwise this war will develop to a point beyond your control. Huh, what a lie. Whitebeard said with disdain, if you are talking about these things, then get out of the way and don't get in the way. No, it's not that simple. The red voice made a deep voice, and said a word that made everyone who was the only one exception to Dover breathe a cold breath. Do you know that Kaido and Big Mom are coming for this war right now? Chapter 153 Arrows and crossbows are drawn, the inevitable war. Advertisement. Dead. A red-haired sentence immediately caused the audience to fall into a certain state of dead silence. Gudong. Someone swallowed and smiled reluctantly. Red hair scares us, right? What are Kaido and Andy doing here? That's right, I heard that there is no harmony between the 4 emperors. How could Aunt Kaido come to help the Whitebeard pirates? What if they didn't come to help Whitebeard? People are skeptical and horrified. Whitebeard frowned and finally lowered his fist. What you said is true. The red hair solemnly said. I'm not the kind of man who can't tell the difference. Then, the red hair turned to Sengoku in the distance and said loudly. Marshal Sengoku, you heard that too. Once Kaido and Andy arrive, the course of the war may not be what you want to see. Sengoku's expression at the moment was gloomy. The direction of this battlefield has deviated too much from the direction he planned earlier. The biggest accident was the sudden arrival of the red hair, which made the plan to assassinate Whitebeard failed, and made the pirates even more powerful. And now, Hongfa even said that the remaining 4 emperors were also coming towards Marineford. It is because Sengoku has always been calm and intelligent, and at this time can't help but feel a little nervous and flustered. Send a search team down to see if what the red hair said is true. Sengoku barely maintained his composure. The possibility of red-haired alarmism cannot be ruled out, so Sengoku has to confirm it personally. After Marine went down and searched, Sengoku responded to the red-haired question. Redhead, what is your purpose for coming here? My purpose. The red hair had firm eyes, and said every word. Just stop this war. However, I also know that it is not so easy to do, so. The red-haired voice, hockey, contained a certain involuntary convincing meaning. Advertisement. Therefore, I hope everyone present can sell my face and stop this war that is bound to cause disastrous consequences. The sound reached everyone's ears, making the atmosphere on the court suddenly condensed. Sell him face. Huh, that's a big breath. Hancock snorted coldly. Don't you think his words are really convincing? Dover on the side smiled playfully. Look, many Marines and pirates have been shaken. As Dover said, there are indeed quite a few people who are almost persuaded by redheads. The reason why red hair has such a face is that some people say that red hair has eaten the fruit of face. But as Dover observed just now, the greater possibility is that the red hair uses Conqueror's Haki, which is known as the world's #1, while talking. Conqueror's Haki is born with convincing power, and the red-haired Conqueror's is even more extraordinary. And if you want to not be affected by the red-haired Conqueror's, at least you have to have Conqueror's. No, the Empress who owns Conqueror's is totally disapproving. Hancock's porcelain white jade hand was in the willow waist, she doctor's long black hair fluttering, his eyes were high and cold, showing the style of the Empress, completely unaffected by the red hair. Goo la 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 la. A loud laugh resounded. Everyone suddenly woke up from the influence of the red hair. Just listen to Whitebeard's voice. Redhead, are you still a kid? What if the two little ghosts, Kaido and Big Mom, come? Lousy as Whitebeard. The extremely heroic spirit swept the audience, instantly covering up the domineering spirit of the red hair. Lousy, we must rescue Ace. Whitebeard's tone was categorical. Obviously, he wouldn't sell it to redheads for this face. Redhead obviously knows this, but he hasn't given up on his efforts. I know about Ace very well, so Marine. Red hair looked at Sengoku. Is it possible to see if I can put Ace on my face? I will explain this to 5 elders afterwards. In order to prevent the war, Hongfa actually contacted him with 5 elders and spoke out. Red hair. In this matter, even Beckman, who was most familiar with red hair, did not expect red hair to do this step. At Marine, everyone was shocked. Advertisement. 5 elders. A pirate, even if he is 4 emperors, can meet the top leadership of the world government, 5 elders, and have a conversation. Sengoku's eyes widened too. He didn't expect the relationship between red hair to be so hard. It is said that the red-haired life experience is indeed very mysterious, and the character of the former, it is impossible to lie. It's about 5 elders, even Sengoku can't help but shake his heart vividly. After all, he did not hesitate to fight Whitebeard, and he must publicly execute Ace. On the one hand, it is to deter pirates and re-establish Marine's prestige. On the other hand, it is to be able to deal with 5 elders. Just when Sengoku was also wobbly, an angry voice rang from behind Sengoku. Quote. Never let go of One Piece's son. The footsteps approached, and a red figure came up. If we succumb to the pirate this time, then our Marine's face will be completely lost. Zhao Mahao. Akainu. Sengoku looked at Akainu who came up. Finally, he nodded and agreed with Akainu's words. Akainu, you are right, this time Marine can't compromise anyway. Sengoku took a deep breath and said to the red hair. Red hair, I forgive you for not agreeing to your request. Red hair heard the words and sighed in my heart. Did the last effort also fail? It seems that war is really inevitable. In that case. When he came, the red hair naturally had made plans after Marine refused. I saw it pulled out the western sword from his waist and held it in his hand. So in order to end the war as soon as possible, I can only save Ace as soon as possible. Suddenly, the atmosphere became dagger again. Chapter 154 Chaos is on, Admiral's 4 Emperors. Advertisement. Shanks drew out the western sword to fight Marine. The pirates, morale was shaken. The power of the 4 emperors is indescribable, and the world is shocked. Damn, it's red hair. Sengoku's face was sullen and angry, but he was not too flustered yet. The red hair only took a dozen people. Although they were all masters, Marine still had the advantage in terms of strength. Only, Kaido and Auntie, are they really here? This is a great threat. Sengoku is confident to deal with the 4 emperors, Whitebeard and Redhead, but if Kaido and Auntie are added, the situation is quite bad for Marine. It must be a quick fight. Sengoku made up his mind. Immediately ordered, listen to the executioner, and immediately put Ace, the son of Pirate King Gear, D. Roger, to death. The situation is ever-changing, and there is no room for optimism. Sengoku wants to cut the mess with a sharp knife and directly destroy Ace, the root of the evil. Yes, Marshal Sengoku. The 2 executioners were ordered to raise their long swords without saying anything. On the side, Ka 743 Poo, who was silent for a long time, was trembling with tears in his eyes. But, after all, it did not make any unusual moves because of the restriction of its position. Sengoku was also secretly observing the state of Garp and his old comrade in arms. Seeing that the opponent was still calm, he was relieved. Not good. Go and save Ace. The pirates were shocked. But at such a distance, even Whitebeard's shock wave was too late. At the critical moment, Red Hair once again played his outstanding conquerors and directly stunned the 2 execution swordsmen. Advertisement. Do it. Save Ace. The time at this moment is extremely precious. Red Hair no longer waited, jumped off the boat, and flew towards the execution. Behind him, Beckman and others followed closely. Redhead boy, this time, thank you. Whitebeard looked at the back of the red hair, and then shouted. Little ones, don't let Hong be beg, send this outsider to lead. Follow me together and rush forward. Whitebeard jumped. It fell on the ice of the harbor and splashed huge waves. Oh, the pirates shouted in unison, with great momentum. Attention all, Whitebeard pirates and Red Hair pirates, we are going to launch a total attack. Dozens of Marine Vice Admiral headquartered and led more than 100,000 Marines to build a strong defense in front of the execution platform. But who are Whitebeard and Redhead? General Marine, to both, is like paper. Especially Whitebeard, hundreds of people were killed and injured between the waves. Whitebeard, if you continue to make trouble like this island will be ruined. With the roar of anger, a huge lava giant fist descended from the sky. This fist was covered with lava, dyeing the entire sky red. A Kainu admiral, Marine, who was almost insecure by the pirates, saw a Kainu stop Whitebeard and was overjoyed. Huh, Magma Kid, go and light the cake. A huge lava fist descended on the top of his head, and Whitebeard's right fist was slammed violently. Boom. This is the collision between Admiral and 4 Emperors, and the power is amazing. It seems that even the sky is about to shatter. The other end. A yellow figure also stopped a forward-looking red hair pirates. Advertisement. Red-haired Shanks, the youngest 4 Emperors, owns the strongest conquerors in the world, it's really scary. Kizaru Pelusolino took out his ears, and then his expression became rare and serious. But, as Marine Admiral, the old man has to regret to tell you that the road ahead is not clear. Kizaru had committed a serious crime in the Punk Hazard incident and was scolded by Sengoku. Although he was not punished due to his admiral status, Kizaru himself understood that he had to make up for it once. Otherwise, in front of other admiral and even his subordinates, it would be difficult for him to raise his head again. Sky Cloud Sword. Kizaru directly summoned the Sky Cloud Sword, and the whole body was exuding golden light. Shanks, you go first and leave it to me, Kizaru. With a cigarette in his mouth, Beckman picked up the gun in his hand. Please, Beckman. Beckman's strength is no less than his own, Shanks trusts him extremely. Even in the face of Kizaru, the redhead believes that Beckman can handle it. Kizaru was blocked by Beckman, and the red hair continued to move forward. However, before long, a huge emerald slash struck him without warning. The red hair raised his sword to block. Hawkeye, are you going to stop me? The person who issued that huge slash is naturally the world's largest swordsman, Hawkeye. The future is still unclear, and the direction of the times is still unclear. You'd better not act rashly with red hair. Hawkeye stood with his sword, his voice was cold. The red hair sighed, and could only helplessly fight with Hawkeye. So far, the most difficult characters are all stopped by Marine for the time being. The captains of the Whitebeard side, as well as the others from Red Hair Pirates, were also dispatched by Sengoku and were entangled by the Crane, the elite Vice Admiral, and the remaining Shichibukai. Dover also ended. He chose a captain as his opponent at random, his eyes dark and unpredictable. He is waiting for Kaido and Ant to bring him. Come and stage a great show that shocks the world. Chapter 155 Pluden Rayleigh, Whitebeard's strength, 4 more. Advertisement. Kill. Let these damn it pirates come and go. Go away. We will definitely save Ace. More than 100,000 Marine, and tens of thousands of pirates, staged a large-scale war that is rare in the world at Marineford. People all over the world were stunned. In Sabayati, through the huge phone worm screen, people can clearly see the situation of the war. It's amazing. 4 Emperors red-haired Shanks is also on Whitebeard's side. Marine won't lose, right? There are 2 4 Emperors on the opposite side. I even heard that Kaido and Andy will also come. Huh, don't think Marine is so weak. Marshal Sengoku, and Hero Garp, haven't even shot yet. People talked a lot. Although the battlefield did not affect them, they knew it in their hearts. The direction of this war determines the future of the world. An old man with gray hair was also among the crowd. His eyes kept looking at Ace on the execution platform. Are you Roger's son? He's all grown up like this. And when the red-haired Shanks appeared on the stage, the old man said to himself. Oh, the boys who practiced on the boat with Buggy back then were so manly. Haha, well done, Shanks. This old man is indeed the right and left hand of One Piece, Pluden Rayleigh. It was too late for Rayleigh to learn that Ace was Roger's son, and it was too late to rush to Marineford. Therefore, although he is worried about Ace's safety in his heart, he has no choice but to pin his hopes on Whitebeard and Shanks. When? It was another violent collision. Sparks shot in all directions during the handover of the swords, and the owners of both sides involuntarily took a few steps backwards. Red Hair, since you missed an arm, I have never played against you again. Unexpectedly, your swordsmanship does not retreat but advances, which surprised me. Hawkeye said with a black knife in his hand. Advertisement. You have made progress too, Hawkeye. Red Hair said with the same surprise, I thought your swordsmanship had reached its peak, but I didn't expect there to be room for improvement. It should be because of losing to that guy. The red hair suddenly glanced in a certain direction. That direction is surprisingly where Dover is. Earlier, when Hawkeye lost to Dover, he went to find Redhead once and told him about it. As a result, Dover's name was deeply engraved in the red hair's heart. But from the moment it appeared, the guy named Doflamingo didn't seem to behave abnormally, and his strength seemed unremarkable. However, the more uneasy there is in the red hair's heart. He always felt that behind this war, there was a pair of invisible hands pushing forward. Those hands are probably Doflamingo. Dover, who was playing a slapstick game with a certain captain under Whitebeard, sensed the red-haired gaze, turned his head, and his gaze happened to meet him. Dover smiled slightly. This person seemed to be aware of something, but it didn't matter. The matter was now. No matter what Shanks did, it would not affect Dover's plan. Seeing the man smile, the red hair's heart jumped, and intense anxiety rose in her heart. Can't wait any longer. Hongfa made up his mind to save Ace before the man did anything. Hawkeye, sorry, I can't spend time with you here anymore. Shanks said solemnly. The western sword in his hand was suddenly covered with a layer of unparalleled haki and turned black. Hawkeye is also awe-inspiring. He knows that the next move for red hair is definitely not easy. Shanks let out a deep cry. God avoid. Immediately slammed the sword, a purple-red arc-shaped slash, sure shot. This trick was learned by Shanks from Captain Roger. It was very powerful, and once flew Kazuki Oden several hundred meters. Good job. Hawkeye raised black sword Yi with both hands high, and fell like lightning, also slashing with a powerful slash. Advertisement. Please ask for flowers. Just when the red hair and the eagle eye are fighting each other. On the other side, the battle between Whitebeard and Akainu was more intense. Dark Hound. Akainu tried his best, and there was lava flowing all over his body, and even the ground around it was melted. However, Akainu's strength is strong, and compared to the current Whitebeard, it is still a little bit behind. I saw Whitebeard wave the clouds and cut it, which directly caused a large-scale air shock and earthquake. The atmosphere is broken. Dark Hound is broken. The entire marine headquarters shook violently, and countless buildings collapsed. Akainu was knocked out by this terrifying force, rolled dozens of meters on the ground, coughing up blood. Magma Kid, disappear for the old man. Whitebeard took advantage of the victory and pursued, leaping into the air, wrapped in a wave of vibration energy under his feet, and stepped on Akainu. Compared with the Whitebeard who was the top war in the original book, the younger Whitebeard at this moment is undoubtedly more powerful and terrifying. If we say that Whitebeard, whose body is aging and suffering from illness in the original book, has only 50% of the strength of his peak period. Then, today's Whitebeard has at least 80% of the strength of the peak period. Such strength, even Marine Admiral, is difficult to resist for a while. Sengoku, who was on the execution platform, scanned the audience, frowning. Although the enemy has been blocked, it is only temporary, and the situation is still not optimistic. Especially on Whitebeard's side, Sakazuki is probably not the former's opponent. Come on, meet the two execution officers again and put Ace to death. Sengoku will take advantage of the opportunity that Whitebeard and red hair are still blocked, and execute immediately. The two execution officers came up quickly. Without saying anything, they raised the machete and slashed towards Ace's neck. The blade is biting. It seems that the next moment, Ace's head is about to fall to the ground. Chapter 156 Jinbe saves the field, Garp shoots. Advertisement. Do it, execute Roger's son Ace. Under Sengoku's repeated orders, the two execution officers raised their long knives and slashed towards Ace's neck. Now, although 4 emperors came to rescue Ace. However, Whitebeard was blocked by Akainu. The red hair was stopped by the eagle eye. The strong men such as Marco and Beckman under the two men were also entangled by the strong men on the marine side. For a while, no one had the extra energy to stop this scene. Ace. Papa Whitebeard's eyes are splitting. Get out of lousy. How is it possible, Whitebeard? With blood flowing on Akainu's face, Whitebeard's attack hurt him, but it was not enough to kill him. Dog biting the red lotus. 77. The arm turned into a giant lava dog and galloped towards Whitebeard. Damn it. Whitebeard furiously struck out a violent air shock. But in this way, although Akainu's attack was smashed, it was too late to save Ace. Crucial. Just when Sengoku was sure, this time Ace could not escape. Sudden. The ice in the harbor shattered large pieces. Inside, there was a loud shout. The sea flows over the shoulder. Immediately afterwards, I saw a huge water column rising into the sky. It hit the two execution officers directly. Beat the two out. Ace is saved. The pirate party was surprised and inexplicable. Who on earth saved Ace? Contrary to the surprise of the pirates, Marine, especially Sengoku, was furious. A*hole. Which A*hole did it again? Sengoku stared at the broken ice in the harbor. Advertisement. A blue shadow floated up. Sengoku's pupils contracted violently, and he couldn't believe it. Jinbe, it's actually you. Aren't you Impel Down? Immediately, Sengoku seemed to have thought of some terrible guess, and asked in a hurry. What's the matter? How did you come out? What's wrong with Impel Down? What's wrong with Magellan? Facing Sengoku's stormy questioning, Jinbe opened his mouth and said. Rain Shiryu rebelled and released all the criminals of the 6th level of Impel Down. Now, the entire Impel Down has been destroyed by them. Only Magellan was rescued by me. This can be regarded as the old man repaying Marine's kindness over the years. Boom. Jinbei's few words are tantamount to a bolt from the blue, hitting Sengoku's heavenly spirit cover. Sengoku only felt his head dizzy and almost fainted. And the whole Marineford, and even the world, are boiling because of these few words of Jinbei. Fake. Fake. Ha ha ha. Impel Down is a copper wall and iron wall, how could it be destroyed? It must be the pirate deliberately messing up our military spirit. Some people are skeptical, but Marine, who winks a little, knows that what Jinbe said is likely to be true. At the same time, people all over the world are talking about it. The big prison has been destroyed, won't those murderous criminals come out? Although I don't like celestial dragons, this time, I still hope that Marine can win and catch those criminals back. Is the world going to change? People were horrified. Even Whitebeard and Red Hair were stunned for a while. But Whitebeard didn't think much about it, saving Ace is the most important thing right now. Jinbe, thank you for being here in time. Father. Jinbe crawled out of the sea. Ace is also my companion, I also want to fight to save Ace. The Red Hair on the other side thought more than Whitebeard. Impel Down unexpectedly happened, that kind of situation. Redhead looks at Hawkeye. Is this the man's handwriting? Hawkeye was actually quite surprised by this, and shook his head to indicate that he didn't know. The other person is here, you can ask him yourself. Naturally, the two pointed to more. Advertisement. The Red Hair couldn't help but glanced in the direction where Dover was. After a long time, sighed. This person can defeat Eagle Eye in Kendo, but the Red Hair is not sure that he can beat him, so what else? The Redhead guessed right, the real murderer who destroyed Impel Down was indeed Dover. Seeing Jinbei's arrival, Dover knew that Crocodile and others' goals had been achieved. They will come here too soon, presumably. However, he said that Marine was in shock for a long time because of the news that Impel Down was destroyed. A big bird entwined with blue flames flew straight towards the execution platform. No, it's Marco the Phoenix. He is going to save Ace. It's careless, let him get so close to the execution platform. Marine finally reacted and quickly raised his gun at Marco. Bang bang bang. The bullet hit Marco's body, only splashing small waves, with no effect at all. Ace, I'm here to save you. Margot laughed. Ace stared blankly at Marco, who was getting closer and closer, tears streaming down uncontrollably. Papa, Red Hair, Jinbei, Marco, and countless friends. All are fighting 4.6 blood to save him. Ace has never been born like this, and feels the preciousness of life. However, just as Marco was about to board the execution platform, an unexpected scene happened again. A tall and stalwart figure jumped into the air. There is pain in his eyes. The fist is straightforward, a punch on Marco's neck. Marco failed to respond in time and was shot directly out, hitting the ground heavily. The real body appeared. Boom. After the figure flew off Marco, he sat in the middle of the three admiral. When everyone looked at it, they couldn't help changing their colors. Because. Hero Garp, let it go. Chapter 157 Operation Dover, Hancock was living in public. Advertisement. The one who fisted Faye Marco was the Marine hero Garp. Garp is known as the Marine hero, and his status is similar to that of Marshal Sengoku, even above him. Just because there are too many legends circulating on him. Dozens of times chased and killed the Pirate King Roger pirates, driving Roger into a desperate situation. Join forces with Sengoku to throw the legendary pirate Golden Lion into the great undersea prison. Blast the cone of the green pepper with one punch and so on. This is still a familiar legend. In addition, if you and Roger defeated the Rocks pirate that once dominated the era before Roger, few people know. And, the leader of the Revolutionary Army considered by the world government to be the most murderous criminal is also Garp's son. This series of legendary events, both openly and secretly, created the title of Garp Marine Hero and created the myth of Garp. It's no wonder that as soon as one shot it immediately caused everyone present to change their colors. Marine Party. Great momentum. 11 inches Garp Vice Admiral is our Marine's strongest guard. With him, what else is terrible? Yeah, Garp Vice Admiral is the strongest seaman. The pirates were caught in a riot. Is that the legendary hero Garp? Even Captain Marco is not an opponent. What a terrible guy. After all, they are the previous generation of strongmen who hunted down the Pirate King Roger. The voice is full of voices. Garp's shot also greatly exceeded Sengoku's expectations. Sengoku thought that Ace was raised by Garp after all, and it would be good if Garp could do nothing extraordinary in this war. Never hoped that Garp would help his side. Garp, I didn't force you to act. Sengoku stared at Garp, wanting to see what the old comrade was thinking. Huh. Garp folded his arms around his chest, and a domineering aura spread out. The old man is also Marine. Also, did Sengoku, Impel Down make you mess up? The war in front of you is not over yet. Advertisement. Facing Garp's question, Sengoku's rare old face blushed. Just now, he did fall into a loss of consciousness. If it weren't for Garp's critical moment, maybe Ace had been rescued. In that way, Marine's defeat would be irreversible. Sengoku took a deep breath and suppressed Impel Down. In any case, the war in front of you is the most important. Never fail. At the same time, Whitebeard shouted, "Little ones, that's just a decadent veteran, don't be frightened by his name." Prompted the pirates to weaken slightly because of Garp's panic. Whitebeard, don't forget the enemy in front of you. Akainu hit a real fire and was repeatedly suppressed by Whitebeard, making him angry. Great eruption. Whitebeard was careless and slightly injured. Although this injury is not a serious problem, it evoked the pain that has been latent in his body. Whitebeard ran after him, his reaction slowed by a beat. Akainu won the power and continued to attack, but he got back around for a while. Marineford. The war is back, and the intensity of the battle is even more fierce than before. At this time, Dover suddenly solved the captain who had been entangled with him. He turned over and suddenly came to the side of Empress Hancock. With a big hand, the latter's slender and soft waist stayed upstairs. Hancock didn't expect that Dover would make this move in full view. For a moment, his face flushed as if to drip blood. The Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral Mole, not far from Hancock, happened to see this scene, and his eyes were about to bulge out. This Doflamingo actually did such a move to the Empress Boa Hancock. Advertisement. Also, isn't the Empress hating men the most? Why is there no resistance at all? The Mole only felt that his worldview had collapsed. I think the last time he went to Amazon Lily Island to invite the Empress, how cold and arrogant the Empress was, and almost killed him. But now, he is acting like a shy little woman. This abnormal situation was also quickly noticed by Sengoku, who had the widest view. The brows can't help but frown deeply. Heavenly Yaksha, the pirate empress, when did the two of them get together? To be honest, Sengoku was under too much pressure in this battle. Not only must he fully resist the onslaught of Whitebeard and Red Hair pirates, but he must also try to keep Marineford safe, and he must also resist the pressure from 5 elders. So that, in order not to cause accidental 747, Sengoku never went to the trouble of Dover, who had blackmailed him twice. However, this does not mean that Sengoku has forgotten Dover. In fact, before the war, Sengoku had instructed the Red Dog to stare at Doflamingo. However, Akainu fought violently against Whitebeard. Sengoku had no choice but to separate a part of his mind and stare at Dover. And the latter has not shown any abnormality, let Sengoku feel a little relaxed. But now, Sengoku furrowed his brows, a little uneasy, and was about to question Dover. Suddenly, a bloody Marine Vice Admiral rushed to Sengoku's side. Didn't you go out to search for Kaido and Anti's traces? How did it become like this? Sengoku was shocked and ignored Dover for a while, and quickly helped Vice Admiral, who was seriously injured and dying, up. The Vice Admiral grabbed Sengoku's hand, and a few words came out from his throat. Marshal Sengoku, Kaido and Big Mom are here. Then, the person died of excessive blood loss. What did you say? Sengoku shook his entire body. Chapter 158 Conspiracy Against Marine, Sengoku Horror. Advertisement. You. At this moment, in full view, Dover Lu was in his arms. Hancock didn't expect this at all. Her flawless face seemed to become a burning cloud in the sky, red and hot. Especially, it was the first time that she was so close to Dover. Although he didn't say anything, Hancock had made up for this scene countless times. At this moment, in Hancock's brain, she and Dover were holding hands and walking in the wide and bright church, and everyone looked at them with envy. Such brain supplements made Hancock's pretty face even more red. The heart seems to stop. The mind was dizzy. You. Finally, Hancock barely recovered a trace of clarity, exhausted all his strength, and wanted Dover to let her go quickly. But I couldn't say anything when I reached my throat. Dover heard Hancock's voice and looked down at the woman in his arms. Compared with Hancock's unparalleled beauty, the cute appearance of Tsunere, whose mouth is wrong, makes Dover even more fond of. Dover took Hancock into the air and came to the high platform far away from the battlefield. Let go of Hancock, deep and inexplicable words came from his mouth. It's a really good show, it's the beginning, Little Hancock. Little Hancock. Oh my god, he called me Little Hancock. Hancock, who had been let go by Dover and wanted to get up, heard this title, and he felt as if his whole body was out of breath, and weakly softened on Dover's chest. Women are made of water, and Hancock at this time is like a stream of autumn water in Dover's arms. A long time, Hancock asked with a hint of strength just now. What did you say? Compared to Hancock's tenderness and weakness, Sengoku was undoubtedly full of anger when he said this. What are you talking about? Sengoku glared at the Vice Admiral who came to report, but the latter was dead. You, rest in peace. Sengoku reacted and reached out and wiped Vice Admiral's eyes. Advertisement. Then, Sengoku stood up. In an instant, countless thoughts turned in Sengoku's mind. Kaido and Anti are really here. Add Whitebeard and Red Hair, and the 4 emperors are all here. As for the 4 emperors, even if there are contradictions, in Marineford, they will definitely deal with Marine first. Plus the change of Impel Down. The old man has to suspect that this is a conspiracy against Marine. The deeper Sengoku thinks, the deeper the horror in his heart. If we say, this man made conspiracy against Marine. So, has this conspiracy started long, long ago? Sengoku suddenly remembered something, and suddenly raised his head to look for a figure. But, not found. Blackbeard is gone. It should have been gone since last night. Sengoku's fists couldn't help clenching tightly. Ace was handed over to Marine by Blackbeard, and it was the fuse at the beginning of this war. The conspiracy probably started from then. Damn, it's Blackbeard. Sengoku hated Blackbeard at the moment. When he wanted to come, Blackbeard, who disappeared, must be one of the people behind this conspiracy. And Blackbeard alone is far from having that much energy, there should be others. Kaido and Ant may be involved. And the chief among them. Sengoku suddenly turned his gaze to the distance, the man who was now competing with the world's best beauty. Doflamingo. Sengoku yelled angrily. Are you doing all this? Sengoku thought about all possible masters. In the end, the main envoy is most likely to be present, and only Heavenly Yaksha, High Rogue. Although the battle was fierce, Sengoku's sudden roar still attracted the attention of many people. Especially Aokiji, who hasn't done much effort. Buddha howl. Seeing Sengoku's eyes that seemed to eat him, Aokiji, Hawkeye, Redhead and others were also secretly paying attention here. Advertisement. Dover let out a meaningful laugh, shrugged and said lightly. Who knows? Although there is no answer, it can be regarded as some kind of answer in disguise. Even if Sengoku realized that Doflamingo must be related to this conspiracy against Marine. Hateful. There has long been information that he has contact with 4 Emperors Kaido, and he has a lot of power in the dark world. Quote. If he were not Shichibukai, the old man should have resolved this scourge sooner. Since Dover blackmailed Sengoku billions of Baileys for the first time, and let Garp and Crane come home, Sengoku has been on Dover. It's just that Dover acts secretly, and after all, it is 7 warlords of the sea, Sengoku has nothing to do with it. Now, even if Sengoku regrets it, it won't help. The most important thing at the moment is to solve the immediate trouble before Kaido and the ant arrive. Sengoku immediately looked at Ace, with a hint of pity in his eyes. With his mind, naturally, he quickly realized that Ace should be the red-haired pawn thrown by those people to attract Marine and Whitebeard. I have to say that this chess piece was chosen really well, and everyone took the bait. Sengoku sighed. Portkas d Ace, although you are also a victim, but now, for Marine, the old man must put you to death. Zhao, let's talk about it. Sengoku made a decision that he would personally execute Ace. It's not that Sengoku didn't want to solve Dover first, but that Dover was too far away, and Sengoku couldn't see through his strength. In desperation, Sengoku can only take the lead in getting rid of Ace, eliminating the hope of Whitebeard and Redhead. Just as Sengoku was about to incarnate as the Great Buddha and execute Ace. Without warning, a thunder in the sky suddenly exploded. Immediately afterwards, the wind and clouds changed color. The endless black clouds covered the sky above Marineford in the blink of an eye. It was even more accompanied by a pressure that made Marine Vice Admiral's soul tremble. Sengoku's face changed, and he looked up at the sky. It's so quick to make up. Undoubtedly. Beast Kaido and Big Mom. Arrive. Chapter 159. The 4 Emperors are here, and the world is shocked. Advertisement. 4 more seeking subscription. The dark sky contains an inexplicable and terrifying coercion. That coercion seemed to be the height of the biological level, and it seemed to look down into the soul. The entire Marineford, anyone below the elite Vice Admiral strength, has the urge to kneel down and worship with weak legs. What happened? Is it going to rain? With such a depressed atmosphere, God is angry. People were frightened and inexplicably, whether it was Marine or pirate, the movements of their hands stopped. Even 4 emperors such as Whitebeard and Red Hair, and even Marine admirals such as Akainu, Kizaru, and Aokiji, all escaped the battle and stared up into the sky. Boom. While the dark clouds were rolling, the thunder snake ran away, and the lightning was everywhere. It seems to be gestating a super thunderstorm, which is about to bring the world to the extreme. This terrible scene is also spread through video phone worms and is seen by people all over the world. It's terrible. Is the end of the world coming? Did the redhead Shanks say that Kaido and Big Mom are going to Marineford too? It's probably their ghosts. If it's really them, then there will be more than 750 Malin fans who have gathered all the 4 emperors. Hiss. It's horrible. Marine is in big trouble. People all over the world can't help but hold their breath, staring at the image projected by the phone worm. Are those above the sky, Kaido and 4 emperors ant? But, the average person is shocked, and Whitebeard, as the strongest man in the world, doesn't have that kind of emotion. Whitebeard squinted slightly, looked at the gloomy sky, and sneered. Kaido, Charlotte Linlin, do you want to ride this muddy water too? Above the sky, a purple thunder lightning struck down and hit a marine. The seaman immediately passed out with smoke from his head. This thunder seemed to respond to Whitebeard, as if saying, our enemy is Marine. Damn, it's Kaido, ant, dare to be so arrogant. Being slapped in the face like this, Sengoku became angry and roared up to the sky. Advertisement. Kaido, Big Mom, since it's here, do you want to hide your head and show your tail? Sengoku's voice resounded across the sky, possessing a certain powerful power, making the dark clouds roar violently. Well, as expected of the man standing on the top of Marine, Haki is really tyrannical. In the dark clouds, there was a sharp sound. I wanted to take the opportunity to kill Marine's spirit, but it seems like a failure. Another vigorous voice followed. Huh, Kaido, you still can't get rid of your favorite tricks, I said it can't work. The sharp voice Kaido. The dark clouds gradually dissipated. 2 huge figures were revealed. A body is comparable to a giant race, with a shrill voice, and a breath that makes the soul tremble all over. It is the soul and fruit ability, the 4 emperors and Charlotte Linlin. The other figure is bigger and more terrifying. Because that is not a person, but a creature. The whole body presents a cyan brilliance, and the limbs are surrounded by purple thunder and lightning. Surprisingly, it is a blue dragon that soars through the clouds and fog. Xinglong vomited. Linlin, you don't give me too much face, right? Seeing this scene, countless people were shocked. Dragon. It's actually a dragon. This kind of mythical and legendary creature actually exists. It can still speak. Can it be that there is still wisdom? The people at Marineford were pale, and they were fighting. Especially on the Marine side, they were even more terrified. The visual impact that B-Beg brings to people is really too great. Also, it was aimed at their Marine. Don't panic, everyone. Aware of the panic spreading on Marine's side, Garp stood up, looked at the blue dragon in the sky, and said. It's just a flying loach, don't be afraid. Sengoku also spoke immediately afterwards. Kaido is a fish fruit eternal beast blue dragon form, that is his ability changed, don't be fooled by appearances. With Garp and Sengoku, the two marine Dinghai sacred needles, the marines immediately found the backbone. Advertisement. It turned out to be like this, I thought it was a real Shenlong. HMPH, even if it is a real dragon, if Garp Vice Admiral and Marshal Sengoku are there, you have to lie on your stomach. Marine's panic gradually dissipated, and his morale gradually recovered. The ant sneered. Just say it's useless. Not always. The Kaido dragon's head moved and his mouth opened wide. The surging heat gathered in his mouth. Heat. The heat gathered into an energy ball, which was then ejected by Kaido, turning into a huge red pillar of fire. In the original book, Kaido used this technique to destroy a mountain easily. And looking at the direction that the heat is aimed at, it is the main building of Marineford, Marine's base camp. On the wide wall, the magnificent Marine is engraved. Above it, there is a plaque that says, Justice. Not good. Sengoku's face changed drastically, and he instantly understood Kaido's intentions. However, it has no effect. Kaido's attack was so sudden that Sengoku couldn't stop it at this moment. Boom. The heat pierced through the huge marine wall, just in the middle of the word, Marine, and opened a big hole. As for the plaque with, Justice, written on it, it was directly burned into ashes by the heat of ultimate. Kaido, you be asterisk 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 D. Sengoku's voice was full of monstrous anger. Kaido, who did this, laughed wildly. The huge body gradually shrank and turned into a human form. Kaido's face is fierce, his muscles are like hills, his eyes suddenly looked at a certain stalwart figure, and he shouted a word that shocked the whole world. We have come. Hurry up and start this war to destroy the world. Joker. Quote. The big climax is coming, please beg flowers for support. The author Guicho. Chapter 160 The world shakes, the name of Joker. Advertisement. Kaido sounded like a thunderous roar. Words that destroy the world. All are terrifying. People can't help but follow Guy's eyes. Immediately, he was dumbfounded. That's Seven Warlords of the Sea, Doflamingo. Kaido calls him Joker, is he the legendary middleman in the dark? Also, the pirate empress, who has always hated men, actually lay in his arms. Who is he? Except for a handful of people, almost no one knows Dover and his role in this war, and few people know his weight today. Therefore, the vast majority of people only regard it as an ordinary Shichibukai. In this strong battlefield on the top of the cloud, it has not been taken too seriously. Such as Akainu, although Sengoku let him pay attention to Dover before the war. But Akainu didn't care about this at all. In his opinion, Whitebeard is the target that needs to be guarded. But now, Kaido's words, no matter how stupid people are, they also know. The man named Doflamingo is by no means simple. The court fell into a kind of weird silence. Everyone's eyes focused on the man full of mystery. Ha ha ha. Being so noticed, Dover let out a chuckle. He put his arms around Hancock's thin waist, stepped out, and rose into the air. In full view, he walked towards Kaido in the sky. Kaido, you called me by my name like that, but you suddenly made me a target of public criticism. Dover said playfully. Kaido laughed and said nonchalantly. The overthrow of Marine is here, Joker, with your ability, sooner or later it will resound in the world. When he said so, Kaido smiled triumphantly in his heart. He yelled Joker under the spotlight, of course not to make Dover famous. Kaido's real purpose is to expose Dover to Marine, so that Dover has nowhere to go, and it is impossible to betray them. Advertisement. Although he had seen Dover's memory from pudding earlier. But Kaido still had doubts, for fear that Dover would go back, so he resorted to such a small trick to expose Dover in advance. Dover looked deep. He couldn't see Kaido's careful thinking, but it didn't matter. War is destined to be inevitable, and everything is in Dover's plan. This little bit is of no importance. Doflamingo, you really are the master behind the scenes. At this moment, Dover no longer needs to hide. And Sengoku finally confirmed what he had just guessed. What the hell is going on? What does that sea gangster have to do with this war? Garp walked up, his expression more serious than ever. The development of the matter really exceeded his expectations. Not only did the four emperors come to Marineford together, but it also seemed that Doflamingo had planned for a long time. If the old man guessed correctly, this war is clearly a conspiracy against Marine. Sengoku glanced at Dover, Kaido, and the ant, and said solemnly. Garp, now this is not just a war for the execution of Roger's son, but also a battle for Marineford and even the entire Marine. Sengoku, what do you mean? Garp's eyes widened, and he couldn't talk. Their real purpose is to destroy Marine. The words came out. The whole world is horrified and shocked. Destroy Marine. This is simply a fantasy. You know, Marine, as the strongest power on the sea, is unimaginable in terms of strength and depth. How can it be so easy to destroy Marine? People's first reaction was not to believe it, and many people, including Marine himself, found it ridiculous. However, after calming down and thinking about the current situation, people were silent, and a chill from the depths of their hearts spread all over the body. For flowers. Look around. Advertisement. On the battlefield at this moment, who are Marine's enemies? Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world, and 43 pirate groups under his command. 4 emperors red-haired Shanks, as well as powerful men such as Beckman under his command. And Kaido and Big Mom that have just arrived. And that mysterious Joker. Such a terrifying lineup is no less than Marine's side. At most, there is still a gap in military strength. However, the gap in military strength will soon disappear. 0. I only heard that a seaman with excellent eyesight on the coast suddenly shouted. There are enemies. There are enemies. It's a huge fleet. On the sea level in the distance, dozens of ships are sailing. Above it, all are pirates. Upon closer inspection, there are pirates from Wanokuni, such as the Flame Embers and the Plague Quinn. There are aunts from Perispero, Daifuku, Owen and others from all over the world. It's Kaido and the Ants fleet here. The number is tens of thousands of people. Shouts of fear and shock resounded all over Marineford. At this time, Marine's advantage in military strength has completely disappeared. And, not only that, there is also a warship approaching on the sea. Is it reinforcements? Marine asked hopefully. Sengoku looked at the approaching warship with a gloomy face. He knew that it could not be Marine's reinforcements. He had already guessed vaguely who was on the warship. Ha 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 ha. As this war, there are so many people here. You can kill now. The figure on the warship was revealed. People's eyes are glaring. Those people turned out to be criminals from the 6th floor of Impel Down in the Great Prison. Chapter 161 An Unprecedented War, The Situation of Wanokuni. Advertisement. On the warship, the cruel scents were revealed. They may be indifferent, sneer, cunning, or cruel. All are fierce and famous people in the sea. The one with the sword is Shiryu of Rain. Rumors and Magellan form the copper wall and iron wall of Impel Down. The guy who was bigger than the giants is San Juan the evil wolf, who once lived and killed a country. There is also the previous generation of Shichibukai, crocodile. The evil king, Caitlin Diame, the most ferocious criminals in the sea, all escaped. A huge uproar. The Marines couldn't help but regressed 2 steps subconsciously because of the fierce and bloody breath from the warship. Shiryu, you, 750, B***********, D, it's all good things you did. Sengoku's voice was filled with endless anger. Shiryu dangling his cigar, the corner of his mouth lifted. Marshal Sengoku, you can't blame me for all the blame. I'm just following Master Joker's orders. The faint words shocked everyone's hearts. Could it be that the man behind Impel Down was destroyed? Although Sengoku had already guessed at this point, he couldn't help but feel an immense anger when he heard Shiryu say it with his own ears. Sengoku's face was exposed with blue veins, and he glared at Dover above the sky. Sure enough, you did everything. Dover smiled faintly. This unprecedented feast of war is not bad, Mr. Sengoku. You be D. Dover's understatement made Sengoku more angry. Doflamingo, the account between us hasn't been settled yet. An angry shout came from Sengoku's side, accompanied by the clicking sound of his fists. It's the marine hero Garp. The grudge between Garp and Dover has been around for a long time. Advertisement. At first, Garp and Crane were on a warship to go to Dressrosa to investigate. As a result, the large thunderstorm that Dover used a line to smashed his face and made Garp lose his face. Later, Garp even learned from Ace that it turned out that the fuse of his going to sea was because of that man. From this, Garp's anger at Dover is self-evident. Heavenly Yaksha, the old man has endured it for a long time. The chief staff officer also following Garp, stood up. Ha ha ha, Joker, you really have offended marine executives all the time. Kaido laughed loudly, gloating with misfortune on his face. Dover shrugged, facing the strong hostility of Marine's 3 veterans, he didn't care about it at all. Anyway, after today, Marine no longer exists. Oh, do you want to do it, Joker? Kaido squeezed his fist, eager to try. The ant also said, it's time to let Marine have a taste of our greatness. No. Dover shook his head slightly, and gently stroked Hancock's thin waist with his fingers, looking in the direction of Whitebeard and Redhead. Someone is more anxious than us. When Kaido is eager to try to destroy Marine, his people would not even think that he would be killed. My lair, Wanokuni, is at stake now. Wanokuni, the manor of Dover. A luxurious woman with a golden hairpin is sitting on the top seat. Her skin is white and delicate, and her crimson lips are not a little bit red, like a sakura peach. Her hair bun is high and topped, and it shows a compelling sense of responsibility and magnificence. This woman is Wanokuni's first beauty, Orin Shaozi, and also Kazuki Oden's daughter, Kazuki Hiyori. In the courtyard of the manor, thousands of people were waiting there quietly. Among them are Kazuki Oden's retainers, such as Inuarashi and Cat Viper, as well as fur warriors led by the 2. There is also the bandit that Shaozi later conquered, the former retainer Ashura Boy, and the renamed Shudenmaru. The rest is the Donquixote family cadres, an army headed by Pika who Dover transferred from Dressrosa to help Shaozi. There is only one purpose for so many people here. Advertisement. That is, taking advantage of Kaido's battle with Marine at Marineford, Wanokuni was regained in one fell swoop and Kaido's nest was brought back. This day has finally come. Little Zame has tears in her eyes. Since the death of her father Kazuki Oden, the Kazuki family has fallen apart, she can only change her name to Orin Shaozi, and she smiles strongly. And at this moment, she can finally get revenge, and can take back what originally belonged to her. Thank you, husband Sama-kun. Shaozi raised her head, her eyes seemed to travel through the endless space, falling on the man she was thinking of, full of love and gratitude. At this time, a retainer came in from outside and told. My patriarch, there is news from Kwang Si Lang that he has successfully led away the guards of the general's mansion. Xiao Zi, the newcomer of the Kazuki family, stood up when he heard the words. Her pretty face instantly became solemn and cruel, showing the demeanor of the family. Okay, Xuanjiro did a good job. The head guard of the general's mansion, Kushiro, is actually even Xuanjiro, one of Kazuki's vassals. Everyone. Xiao Zimei looked around at the 4.6 scene, her voice was pleasant and cold, suppressing excitement. It's time to rejuvenate the country. Please help the little girl, fight against the big snake, fight against Kaido, and restore Wanokuni. In response to Xiao Zi, there was a thunderous cry. Of course, he was Sama. Vengeance for Lord Odin, just today. Recover Wanokuni. In the next moment, thousands of soldiers, under the leadership of Xiao Zi, headed towards the general's mansion at lightning speed. The first step in the restoration of Wanokuni. It is the general mansion. Chapter 162 Desperate Serpent, Fight Again, Seeking Subscription. Advertisement. Xiao Zi led thousands of people and went straight to General Wanokuni's mansion. At this moment, Kurozumi Orochi was still at a loss. At the general's mansion, singing and dancing, and the wine was full of alcohol. The snake drank the wine in the bowl in one gulp. Although there are beautiful dancers dancing in the hall, Wanokuni's best delicacies are on the table. But the big ugly face of the big snake still carries a depressive atmosphere. The attendant poured wine on the big snake cautiously, for fear that he might be touched by the more and more grumpy general. The servants of the general's mansion also knew the reason why the general was so irritable and unhappy. That is, Mr. General's favorite woman, Wanokuni's first beauty, Orin Xiaozi, is not here. Moreover, it will never be possible to show up in the general's mansion again and dance to Lord Orochi. It's because Xiaozi is already the woman who sits on an equal footing with Governor Kaido, Lord Joker. Even if Joker is far away from the 11 countries of Japan, its prestige still shocks everyone. Rao is a big snake who has always been arrogant and dare not to offend Lord Joker. Hateful. The big snake suddenly lifted the table in front of him. The big ugly face twitched. As long as he thinks of Xiaozi, who should have belonged to him, when he thinks of that man, his anger can't stand it. Kaido, quickly destroy Marine, and then destroy that hateful Joker. The serpent yelled like crazy. This general will take back Xiaozi, take back Xiaozi. Oh, the general is going to take back the little girl. Slightly, there is no need, the little girl has already taken the initiative to send it to the door. Suddenly, a beautiful sound of a big snake was thinking about it, echoing in his ears. Da Snake stayed for a while, thinking that he had an auditory hallucination because he missed Xiaozi too much. Unexpectedly, Xiaozi's voice continued. What? The little girl is here, are you upset, Master General? The big snake suddenly recovered, raised his head, and looked out the door. I saw that a beautiful woman in red was walking towards him with lotus steps. Advertisement. Little Purple. The snake opened his mouth wide. Immediately afterwards, there was ecstasy. Xiaozi, you came to see me, I know, you won't forget this general. The big snake started and ran towards Xiaozi desperately, howling, drooling. Hey, of course they won't forget you anymore. A charming smile appeared on Xiaozi's attractive red lips, but this smile gradually turned into a sneer. The voice became colder and colder from the charm of talent just now. Xiaozi has been remembering you all the time for more than 10 years, Kurozumi Orochi. Sudden cold rebuke. I slapped the big snake, and even carelessly stepped on the food that he had just lifted to the ground. Oh plop. The big snake fell to the ground with one butt. It's really ugly. Even with someone like you are qualified to be Wanokuni's general. Xiaozi is condescending, like a queen high above, looking down at the clown in the world. Xiaozi, what are you talking about? The big snake fell a lot, but he still didn't react. Behind him, the waiter who had just poured wine for him shouted in horror. The general is not good. The enemy, the old man, broke into the general's mansion. What? The snake slapped a sharp spirit, and hurriedly raised his head. I saw that the general house, which was singing and dancing, was full of murderous air at this moment. Thousands of people broke into his general mansion at some unknown time. The guards were all subdued, and the attendants and dancers knelt on the ground, shivering. The snake was dumbfounded. In an instant, fell from heaven to hell. Marineford. How did Kaido know Wanokuni's situation at this time? And his person followed Dover's gaze and said with a smile. Advertisement. Whitebeard and red hair are indeed more anxious than us. Then we will sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. Below, Whitebeard's white gaze flicked over Kaido and the ant one by one, and finally fixed on Dover's body. This man, the old man, is also counted in this war. Through the conversation between Sengoku and others and Dover, Whitebeard vaguely understood. The Shichibukai that he never cared about, Doflamingo, is the driving force behind this war. And he, Whitebeard, was completely caught in this person's trap. It's a good way. Whitebeard gave Dover a deep look. Although it clarified the cause and effect of the matter, Whitebeard was already on a sack at the moment. This war cannot be stopped, we must continue to go under 750. This feeling of being used as a gun was the first time that Whitebeard had lived for more than 60 years, and it made him extremely unhappy. But unfortunately, he was helpless. Whitebeard, this is the uncontrollable situation I said before. Redhead walked up to Whitebeard at this time and sighed. Although Redhead noticed something was wrong earlier than Whitebeard, after all, nothing changed. Things have developed to this irreparable point. No need to say more. Whitebeard waved his hand and looked away from Dover, looking in the direction of the execution platform. In any case, Ace must save. As Dover said, the more chaotic the situation, the more eager Whitebeard's heart to save Ace. The same goes for Red Hair. He took a deep breath, knowing that no matter how the situation will develop, he must save Ace first. Otherwise, Whitebeard won't give up, and Shanks can't just watch Captain Roger's son, still in a dangerous situation. The atmosphere became tense again. A battle that has stopped for a while is about to break out again. Chapter 163 Xiaozi's Revenge, Marine's Hidden Power. Advertisement. Wanokuni. The big snake is like an ice pit, looking at the enemies that are constantly pouring into the general's mansion. Among them are several familiar figures of the big snake. That was Odin's former retainer, like the guys named Inu Lan and Cat Viper. What the hell is going on? How come Odin's retainer appeared here? Has the old souls come back again? The snake couldn't believe his eyes. Unexpectedly, you still remember us. Inu Lan and Cat Viper stared at the big snake with hatred, and then said to Xiaozi. His Royal Highness, let me kill this dog thief and pay tribute to Lord Odin's spirit in the sky. His Royal Highness. The snake stared at Xiaozi, who was like a flower in jade. The Kazuki clan's retainers actually called her His Royal Highness. By the way, you still don't know my true identity. Xiaozi said coldly. Listen well, Kurozumi Orochi, my name is Kazuki Hiyori, and my father is Kazuki Odin who was killed by you and Kaido. What? Da Snake's eyes were about to open, and he looked at Xiaozi in disbelief. At the same time, the guards who used to protect the serpent, the servants who served the serpent, and the dancers who danced for the serpent also couldn't help but raise their heads and looked at Xiaozi in shock. She is the daughter of Lord Odin, Lord Hiwa. In the next moment, these people who were supposed to be under Orochi suddenly knelt and bowed. Hiwa-sama, you are finally back. Please expel the Kurozumi clan, reproduce the Kazuki clan, and save Wanokuni. These people, although they have been serving around the serpent. But the brutality and cruelty of the serpent kept them daring to be angry but not speaking. Now, the daughter of the old master and the descendants of the real royal family have returned. They only have excitement and ecstasy, how can they continue to be loyal to the snake? Did you see? Little purple red lips are full of irony. Your evil deeds have already made Wanokuni angry and complained, and the great crimes you have committed are too numerous to document. Xiaozi suddenly drew out the Tianyu Yu from his waist and pointed at the big snake. Advertisement. Today, I am going to cut off your head with my own hands to comfort my father and the souls of the people of Wanokuni who were killed by you. Talking, Xiaozi waved the sky feathers, slashing towards the neck of the snake. There was endless horror in the eyes of the big snake, shaking and shouting. Don't kill me, don't kill me, I am Wanokuni's general. Although Da Snake is also demon fruit power, he has never exercised since he is so easy to take care of. At this moment, Da Snake even forgot that he was a capable person. Moreover, under the stare of Inuarashi, Cat Viper and others, he did not have the opportunity to use his abilities. Wipe. Tianyu Yu was extremely sharp, and it slid across the neck of the snake with ease. Thump. The snake's head fell to the ground, and the whole floor was stained with blood. Xiaozi held Tianyu Yuzhen tightly, her delicate body trembling lightly. She was killing for the first time. I slashed my enemy. However, killing the snake is not enough, and it is not enough to relax. Because, although Kaido is not in Wanokuni, there are Jack the Drow on the Ghost Island, as well as the barbarians. The atmosphere floating in Marineford is almost suffocating. There is Marine on one side, 4 emperors on the other, and the mysterious Joker. The horn of war is sounded again. On the other hand, Dover and Kaido stand high in the sky, standing on the sidelines and watching. Below, the Whitebeard pirates and Red Hair even know that they are thinking about reaping profit, but they have no way to save Ace as soon as possible. Little ones, charge forward with me. I saw Whitebeard sway the cloud cutting, splitting a terrible shock wave. The atmosphere burst, and all the Marines blocking the front of Whitebeard flew up, opening a channel for the pirates to lead to the execution platform. On the other hand, the Red Hair also knew that time was urgent, and he showed his true ability. Under the cover of conquerors, the surrounding Marines fainted before raising their weapons. With the power of the 4 emperors, the situation immediately appeared to be unfavorable for Marine. Advertisement. On the execution stage, Sengoku's face sank like water. Call out. A figure suddenly fell in front of Sengoku. Mr. Sengoku, the current situation is very bad. The visitor wore Admiral epaulets, it was Aokiji. Aokiji saw the 4 emperors all appearing in Marineford, and Impel Down had been destroyed, and was shocked by Dover's methods. Although Aokiji has long disapproved of the justice of the world government, Marineford is the place where he has performed his duties for decades, and he does not want Marineford to be destroyed by Dover. After all, Aokiji upholds a kind of mild justice, even if he can't understand some behaviors of the government Marine, he is unwilling to use excessive means. Sengoku glanced at Aokiji unexpectedly, was silent for a while, and said. The situation has indeed deteriorated to the extreme. It can even be said that this is the biggest crisis that Marine has encountered since its establishment. Aokiji was silent, and then said. Doflamingo, Kaido, Ant, don't let it go. Hearing this, Sengoku's old eyes showed a trace of relief. In the bottom of Sengoku's heart, Aokiji is actually his next martial candidate. He also knew a long time ago that Aokiji did not agree with some of the government's measures. Therefore, Aokiji can still stick to the righteousness at this critical moment, and has enough overall view, so that Sengoku is very pleased. Aokiji, the old man did not misunderstand you. As for Doflamingo, they. Sengoku had way mi in his eyes and clenched his fists. Of course you can't let it go. It's not that easy to reap the benefits of the fisherman. The next moment, Sengoku Getty took out a small purple gold telephone bug from his sleeve. Hey, this is Sengoku. Soon, several majestic voices came from the phone worm. We already know the situation at Marineford. Don't worry, Sengoku, we will send reinforcements soon. Flutter. The phone is turned off. Aokiji looked shocked. The voice that just came from the Zijin telephone worm. It is clearly the highest power center of the government. 5 Elders. Chapter 164 The Arrogant 5 Elders, the sad Jack please complete. Advertisement. The pirate world is vast and boundless. But on the whole, it is divided into 4 sea areas by Grand Line and Red Line. The Grand Line has the first half and the second half. On the 2 sides of the Red Line that separate it, the Marine Headquarters Marineford facing the front half, and the G1 branch facing the New World in the second half. As for the one protected by the Naval Headquarters and the G1 branch in the center and located on the mainland, naturally there is only the residence of celestial dragons, the supreme holy land. Mariajoy. Now, in the sacred place Mariajoy, inside the palace of the world's highest power center. 5 old people of different shapes are sitting on the luxurious sofa. On the table in front of the 5, there was a purple gold telephone bug that was exactly the same as the one that Sengoku had just brought out. The situation in Marineford cannot be delayed, and those guys have to be revealed in advance. Among the 5 elders, a man with a sword does it. Do you want to tell Master Yim about this 270? The old man of Whitebeard said. It's a trivial matter, don't bother Master Yim. That's right, if this little thing can't be solved, Master Yim will definitely blame us. But, how do you deal with that Doflamingo? He was once, but also a celestial dragons. Huh, don't mention the traitor of damn it. He actually got along with those despicable inferiors, trying to destroy Marine. Let him fend for himself, if he can survive this war. 5 elders' tone was full of arrogance, and they had regarded Dover as a traitor through and through. However, from their conversation, it can be learned that they still haven't paid enough attention to Dover. And this, soon, will usher in an unimaginable disaster for Mariajoy. At the same time, advertisement. Another place in Mariajoy. An old man with white beard and hair, be bad, but still sturdy and powerful, got up from his chair. Well, it's also the old man's turn to play. I haven't experienced a war for a long time, so I really miss it. The old man's face was actually eager to try. Then he shouted. Come here, go and inform Shaw Dolphin and Momosugi, take Thosaguts, and immediately go to Marine Headquarters. Quote. Yes, Master Commander. T. Dolphin and Momosugi are admiral candidates who have been cultivated by Marine for a long time, and the only ones who can call these two and are called the Commander-in-Chief or the Marine Marshal before Sengoku, and the current World Government General Army Commander. Kong. Wanokuni, General House. After killing Orochi, Schwanjiro, who was aliased Kushiro, happened to return. And those guards who had been led away by him, the original guards of the snake, when they learned that Shaozi was the real descendant of the royal family, and the patriarch of the Kazuki clan now, without exception, immediately bowed down to him. During the period when Orochi was in charge of Wanokuni, the brutal cruelty resulted in the loss of heart. It is not surprising that his original subordinates betrayed without hesitation, and turned to Shaozi excitedly. And with the support of these people, the general mansion and the flower capital are stable, so there is no need to worry. Next, the Ghost Island is left. Shaozi faces the direction of the Ghost Island. It's just that there is Jack the Drow and the legendary tyrant guarding it. I'm afraid it's not easy to attack. Madam Young, don't worry. A shrill voice sounded, but it was Pika who came from Dressrosa and was sent by Dover to help out. And the reason why Pika is called Mrs. Little Z Xiao, she knows her relationship with Master Xiao. Just listen to Pika be respectfully saying. The tyrant army is made by the inferior artificial devil fruit Kaido obtained from the young master, but it is just a silver gun candle head. Advertisement. Xiao Zi was stunned. She didn't expect her husband Kun-sama to still have this hand. She couldn't help but smile. Especially when Pika called her young lady, her heart was even more exhilarated. His Royal Highness, as for Jack the Drow, leave it to both of us. Cat Viper and Inu Lan patted their chests, and then said again. What's more, not only the two of us, but even the Lord Elephant is here. The Elephant Lord. Xiao Zi couldn't help but her beautiful eyes widened. The Elephant Lord is the carrier of our Zhao Island, and only Master Joker can order it. Inu Lan explained. At this moment, Xiao Zi has Inu Lan, Cat Viper, Pika, Judian Wan, and even Elephant Lord. On the opposite side, there is only one Jack the Drow, and there is no suspense about the outcome. At the same moment, on the island of ghosts, Jack, who was drinking, suddenly his eyelids twitched, and an inexplicable panic surged in his heart, as if something bad was about to happen. What happened? Jack put down the wine bowl in his hand, suspicious. Thought for a while, but didn't have any clues. No, Kaido, 2 elder brothers, Yamato, give me the protection of the Ghost Island, I can't make trouble. Jack was still worried after all, pointing to a little one and said. You, go to Orochi's general mansion to find out if anything unusual has happened to Wanokuni recently. Xiao I hurried out, but not long after leaving the island, he was knocked out by a shadow. How can you confuse little purple sister and the plan of that adult? The shadow revealed her figure, but she was a slender, charming woman who was not under Xiaozi. This woman is Kaido's daughter, Yamato. Chapter 165 Jack dumbfounded, the lurking revolutionary army. Advertisement. On the island of ghosts. Jack is fidgeting, always feeling that something big is going to happen. The person who went to the general's mansion to inquire about the news just now, has he come back? No, Kaido, a subordinate. Jack looked sullen, drinking sullenly. Can only continue to wait. It didn't take long for a little guy to suddenly ran in. Master Jack, it's not good. People of the Kazuki clan, attack the island. Snapped. The wine bowl fell on the ground and broke into pieces. Jack stood up abruptly, and said angrily. What nonsense, the people of the Kazuki clan are already dead, how could they still appear? It's true. The little one said hurriedly. It's Xiaozi, she is Odin's daughter Kazuki Hiyori, and the people who brought this time are the Inu Lan and the Cat Viper among the 9 heroes of the Scarlet Sky. What? These bastards. Jack was angry. The descendants of the Kazuki clan are still alive, and they dare to come to the Ghost Island. Is it because Jack the Drow doesn't exist? At the same time, on the shore of Ghost Island, when Xiaozi led a group of people to the island, Yamato, who had been waiting for a long time, immediately greeted him. Little purple sister, Sister Yamato. When the two women met, the 4 white and delicate hands, as tender as jade, were immediately held together. Go, I will lead the way, now only Jack is on the island, we can definitely succeed. Sister Yamato, thank you. For your credit, my sister will definitely tell our husband Mr. Kun. Yamato's pretty face suddenly turned red. What are you talking about? That's your husband Kun. Xiaozi smiled, as smart as she didn't know the true thoughts in Yamato's heart. She also stopped teasing Yamato. Under Yamato's leadership, she led thousands of people to the Kaido base camp. It was a gloomy palace, and the entire island was in the shape of a skeleton. When Xiaozi and the others arrived, Jack had just rectified his forces, and the two sides happened to run into each other. Advertisement. Jack glanced over the person behind Xiaozi. Inu Arashi, Cat Viper, Jutian Wan, Pika, Huang Shi Lang. Of course, Yamato was automatically ignored by Jack. So many traitors, it just so happens that Lousy will kill you all in one fell swoop today. HMPH, what a big tone, Jack, today is your death date. Jutianwan sneered. Jack snorted coldly, the gap between the strength of the two sides was so big, but he still had such confidence. On the one hand, it is because Jack himself is an arrogant person. On the other hand, the hundreds of barbarian legions led by him are all artificial demon fruit power, which can be one enemy to 100. Give it to Lousy, kill them. Jack sighed heavily. Roar. In the next moment, the barbarian legion behind him turned into a strange beast. Roar. Hundreds of wild beasts roared together, and the fierce healing aura spread throughout the Ghost Island. Facing the charge of these hundreds of beasts, many people in the small purple belt turned pale. It's all silver gun candlesticks, look at me. Pika walked to the front and pressed his hands on the ground, and instantly his arms sank into the ground. Pika is a stone fruit ability person who can manipulate stones at will. Seeing his arms tremble, the ground immediately rolled like a wave. Thump thump, and those savage tyrants who seemed to be aggressive, actually stood unsteadily, all fell to the ground, and many of them were directly crushed to death. See this scene. Jack was dumbfounded. The big eyes, like copper bells, open to the extreme, bloodshot. Quote exclamation mark. Quote. Marineford. The war is fiercer than before. Under the fierce attack of Whitebeard and red hair pirates, Marine retreated steadily. Above the sky, Dover, Kaido, Auntie and others were watching. But in the face of such a situation, Sengoku's face became more and more calm. Sengoku, the old boy, doesn't seem to panic at all. Advertisement. Seeking flowers 0. Kaido found an anomaly. The ant smiled triumphantly. Just pretend to be, otherwise Marine will be defeated faster. When Dover heard this, his eyes flickered, and he sneered at the ant's words. How could Sengoku pretend? It is clearly waiting for a newcomer. For this second player, Dover ordered Stussy and CP9 to find out clearly. And the reason why Dover didn't rush to attack Marine just now was because he was waiting for the arrival of those back players. Also, on this battlefield, there is still a hidden force that cannot be ignored. That is the Revolutionary Army. Dover's eyes seemed to pass over the figures of a few ordinary Marines, intentionally or unintentionally. 0. These seamen were actually disguised by the Revolutionary Army. While they pretended to fight the pirates, they quietly approached the execution platform. It's almost approaching. Ace is waiting, I'm here to save you. Sabo, the second in command of the Revolutionary Army, posing as a Marine soldier, looked at Ace on the execution stage and thought to himself. However, without warning, his heart glared abruptly, as if being stared at by some terrifying character. Who discovered me? Sabo's face changed slightly. It's just that the scene is too chaotic, and Sabo can't be sure whether the feeling in his heart is true. Anyway, I must save Ace, and then I have to be more careful. Take a deep breath to suppress the anxiety in my heart. Sabo continued to move slowly towards the execution platform. Dover looked back. Only Sabo and the 4 commanders of the Revolutionary Army came this time, but the others, especially the leader Monkey D. Dragon, did not come. Is it because the old man Garp is not here, or is there something more important? Dover was thinking about it, and there was a vague guess in his mind. It didn't take long. Dover raised his brows, his big hands gently stroked Hancock's exaggerated waist and eyeline, his eyes looking in a certain direction. Marine's backhand, here comes. Chapter 166. A weapon based on Kaido, the Ghost Island is overthrown. Advertisement. The port of Marineford. Whitebeard threw a punch. The air shattered, the earth broke apart, and Vice Admiral, the giant who came to attack Whitebeard, bleeds from the 7 orifices. The power of shock fruit is really terrifying. Haha, Marine surrender as soon as possible, the strength of the father is not something you can stop. The pirates' side, because of the power of Whitebeard, has become more and more vigorous. But suddenly, Whitebeard, who was about to call the younger ones to rush forward, changed his expression abruptly. He felt that an unusual aura was approaching. Little ones, stop the attack temporarily. Whitebeard shouted. What? Marco and the others were in a daze. Before they had time to ask, they only heard an old and heroic laugh, coming from the back of the Marine headquarters. Ha ha ha, Whitebeard, you really are not old, you have noticed the arrival of 270 so quickly. Whether it was pirates or Marine, they were all taken aback. Of course, Sengoku is not among these people. Master Commander, you are finally here. Sengoku looked back and bowed slightly. A sturdy old man is coming with swift steps. On both sides, a man and a woman followed. The man is grinning, unruly, and is Admiral's alternate T-Dolphin. The woman is beautiful and charming. She is also an Admiral candidate, Momosugi. The Marines were surprised, especially when they saw the strong old man. Immediately afterwards, there was ecstasy. Commander, it's Lord Commander Kong who is here. Master Kong, who is that? The young Marine was puzzled. Stupid, I don't even know Master Kong, he is Marshal Marine before Master Sengoku, and the Commander-in-Chief of the government today. Hiss. That's great. The arrival of Kong immediately injected a heart-lifting agent into Marine, and the morale was greatly boosted. Unexpectedly, you old fellow appeared on the stage. Whitebeard looked at Kong deeply, and said solemnly. Kong laughed loudly. Advertisement. This time you are making a lot of noise, and the old man can't take a rest if he wants to. Besides, it's not just the old man who came here. As soon as Kong's voice fell, on the steps around the port, Ran appeared huge shadows. What the hell? The pirates were shocked. The huge shadow appeared, and it was actually a cold mechanical monster. And looking at the shape of the monster, it is actually somewhat similar to Kaido. Above the sky, Kaido's face instantly became extremely ugly. They actually made this thing. What is this, and how does it relate to you? The ant was also surprised by the shape of the monster. Kaido's muscles twitched, but he didn't want to mention his embarrassment. However, even if it didn't say anything, Dover, who had the perspective of a traverser, could still see the connection between the monster and Kaido at a glance. Kaido was caught by Marine and Vegapunk researched the blood factor. If I'm not wrong, these monsters should be made based on Kaido's blood factor. Regarding the use of the body or blood of the strong to make weapons, the world government also has early precedents. For example, the pacifist who was robbed by Dover on Punk Hazard combined the body of the violent Kun Bear with the laser of Kizaru. Then, the conversation between Sengoku and Kong confirmed Dover's conjecture. Unfortunately, this war broke out too early and too suddenly. Otherwise, these Kaido-based weapons will be more perfect in a few years. Sengoku sighed. Kong said. Without the pacifists, you can only take these, guts, on top. However, although they are not as good as we originally estimated, they are sufficient to replace Shichibukai, but they are also sufficient to deal with ordinary pirates. Quote. It turns out that these monsters are the weapons of the government that abolished the Shichibukai system in the original work and intends to replace them with Shichibukai. Only, nowadays, due to the premature appearance, Vegapunk has not completely perfected these weapons, and their power is still quite inferior to Shichibukai. However, if so, they are still enough to pose a great threat to the vast majority of pirates in this war. Not to mention Kaido recalls the embarrassing past because of the government's secret weapon. Just saying that Kaido was killed, I would not have thought that he had run the lair for decades, and the island of ghosts was already in danger. How could it be impossible? Jack's eyes are splitting. I watched him as a backing, and the army of barbarians that Kaido boss had placed high hopes on. Actually, because the ground shook a few times, it was almost dead and wounded. Jack couldn't believe his eyes. How could a zone-capable person be so vulnerable? It makes no sense. And when Jack's eyes fell on Pika, suddenly, he finally realized something. A boundless shock and panic flooded his heart. Advertisement. That person should be Joker's subordinate. And the abilities of these barbarians are also the man-made devil fruit provided by Joker. And the daughter of Kazuki Odin, Shaozi, and even the woman of Joker. Could it be that? The more Jack thought, the more frightened, and the fear that couldn't be contained filled his body. Joker had the idea of destroying Kaido boss from the beginning. Jack panicked completely. He gasped, almost asphyxiated. And on the side of Shaozi, Jack didn't give Jack more chances to breathe. Little Ziyu raised her hand and said softly, everyone, Kaido's lair has no resistance, let's destroy the Ghost Island. Roar. Thousands of tribes rushed towards Kaido's base camp with hatred towards Kaido. Master Jack, one of Jack's henchmen, with a panic face. They have killed them, and the tyrants are not good enough, what should we do? The shouts of his men seemed to wake Jack up all at once. Jack seemed to be back to light, suddenly lifted his spirits, and let out a loud roar. How to do? Destroy the enemy. 0.3, lousy as Jack the Drow. After speaking, Jack turned into a mammoth elephant, and rushed towards thousands of enemies alone. But, just a few steps after it rushed out, Ghost Island suddenly shook violently. The earth and rocks collapsed and the earth cracked, as if the entire island was about to collapse. What's going on again? Jack, who was transformed into a mammoth, raised his head blankly. On the sea, a giant elephant of indescribable size was slowly approaching the island of ghosts. That giant elephant is so big that Jack's mammoth is like an ant, insignificant. Like Lord. In Jack's eyes, endless fear and despair were instantly revealed. He knows. I'm over, the Ghost Island is over, and Wanokuni is over. Even the boss of Kaido in Marineford, I'm afraid it will be more fortunate. Chapter 167 Kong vs Whitebeard, Hancock's Care. Advertisement. Jack is dead, and the Ghost Island is over. Kaido, who is still ignorant about this, has his muscles tensed at the moment, ready to do a big fight at any time. Since Kong has arrived, Marine probably won't allow us to watch from the sidelines anymore. Dover smiled meaningfully. Huh, lousy can't wait long ago. Kaido squeezed his fist and creaked. The ant stared at the monster weapons based on Kaido. Ha, well, the government really mastered the giant method. Joker, you really didn't lie to me. Ant's dream is to create a world where everyone is equal. Equality, as physical equality, which means that people must be the same age as the ant. It is willing to participate in this war, of course Kaido's lobbying, but the giant method of capturing Marine is also an important reason. Below, as Dover said, the arrival of Kong and reinforcements gave Sengoku a sigh of relief. At this point, although the enemy has four emperors, there is also a guy who does not know the depth of Doflamingo. But their Marine's top powerhouses are also all present. Count them down, with him Sengoku, San Admiral, Garp, and Kong, the top combat power is also not lost at all. Especially, Sengoku knows that Whitebeard and Kaido are not necessarily in the same group. Although Whitebeard, Kaido, and the Ant were once members of Rock's Pirate, their relationship is not harmonious, and it can even be said to be bad. This point can be used for one or two. While Sengoku's thoughts were turning, he took off the coat of the marshal that represented Marine's highest status. Taking a deep breath, Sengoku opened his mouth and the sound resounded throughout the Marine headquarters. All Marine, comrades. At this moment, it is the biggest crisis that Marine has encountered since its establishment. But please don't be afraid, don't hold back. In order to defend the majesty of Marine, for the justice we carry, and to protect the safety of the world, we must go all out to defeat the enemy. A majestic declaration brought Marine's morale to the apex in an instant. Advertisement. Haha, Sengoku, letting you take over as Marshal Marine is really the most correct decision the old man made in his life. Kong laughed. Let the old man, a dying veteran, also give play to the last remaining heat. The next moment, Kong slammed on the ground, his body shot out like a cannonball. Whitebeard, let the old man be your opponent. Kong actually aimed at the strongest Whitebeard. Whitebeard's eyes condensed, and then grinned. Then you have to be careful, I hope your handful of old bones are as hard as your title, Kong. With that, Whitebeard punched. Ha ha ha, after all, we are all from the old age, Newgate. Kong was not afraid, and threw a punch equally without showing weakness. The two fists did not touch each other, but the space in the center of the two fists made an overwhelming sound. An immense wave of air spread. The surrounding rocks cracked inch by inch, and people couldn't even get within 10 meters of these two people. It is the collision between the world's top powerhouses. It's amazing. This kind of power is simply terrifying. However, people were shocked before it was too late. Because immediately afterwards, more top powerhouses all began to take action. The old man has acted too, Sengoku. Garp squeezed his fist, his eyes fixed on Dover in the sky. Heavenly Yaksha, the account between us should be forgotten. Garp. Sengoku looked at his old friend who had been fighting with him for decades. Even though he knew Garp's strength, he couldn't help but exhorted. Advertisement. Be careful, that guy is not that simple. Garp laughed. Just knowing this, the old man has to try his depth. After that, Garp stepped on the moonwalk and flew towards the sky. Joker, you have been targeted by a terribly old guy. High in the sky, Kaido said a little gloating. Dover looked indifferent, and could not see any changes in his inner mood. He looked at Garp, the hero who leapt towards him. Garp's strength is actually a mystery. In the original work, it has been 270 contrasted in the form of side. The few shots are basically crushed. Dover is also quite curious about Garp's true strength. Little Hancock, next, you will have to stay a little bit further. Dover whispered beside Hancock's crystal earlobe, and then let go of his large hand that was holding his slender waist. Hancock has actually woken up from the brain a long time ago. As the dignified pirate empress, she is not stupid even though she is in love. It is not an occasion to talk about love. However, when Hancock repeatedly tried to get out of Dover's arms, the opponent's big hand stroked her waist, making her immediately lose strength. Now, Dover let go of her waist, but Hancock did not leave immediately. I saw the world's first beauty with his head buried in Dover's broad chest, pursing his red lips, and said in a voice that only two people could hear. You have to be careful. Immediately, it floated away. Dover stared at Hancock's shadow, and the smell of his nose stayed for a long time. Dover couldn't help but smile, and he became more fond of this woman. Chapter 168 Armed Color Showdown, Dover vs. Garp, 5 more Neils for subscription. Advertisement. Below, Shiryu and others who came out of Impel Down, saw the marine hero Garp, and found their nominal boss, they couldn't help but look different. Hey, Sand Crocodile, shall we help the Joker boss? The evil king smiled. Yeah, Garp is Marine's hero. If the boss is injured, it would be Shameless. Big wine barrels and other murderous criminals followed playfully. Although they surrendered to Dover in name, it was the first time they saw him. It was naturally impossible to say how loyal and respectful they were. Shiryu dipped his cigar, glanced at these unruly guys, and said to Crocodile. You have been with Master Joker the longest, Master Joker should be fine, right? Crocodile, who was questioned by the crowd, was now looking deeply at Dover's figure. It has not been seen for many years, the man seems to have not leaked hockey like Alabasta, which is daunting. As a result, the ignorant tactics of the evil kings dare to be contemptuous. Crocodile couldn't help but sneer, and said disdainfully. You take care of yourself. On the other end, Hancock, who had left Dover's arms, fell on the ground, but his beautiful eyes never left the man's stalwart figure. Although, Dover's image in Hancock's mind, in addition to obsessive love, is closer to a god. However, Hancock's heart still hangs. When Hancock was looking at Dover's figure with concern and ignorance, a group of unopened Marines stood in front of her. Boya Hancock, what is your relationship with Doflamingo? Headed by this group of Marines, is a burly, sharp-eyed man with a captain rank on his shoulders. This person was actually dangling 2 cigars, the smoke was all around, and behind him was a graceful girl holding a sword. Who are you? Being blocked from sight, Hancock's pretty face was frosty, and his voice was extremely cold. I'm Marine Captain Smoker, answer my question just now, Boya Hancock. This smoky guy is not Smoker, who has the ability to smoke fruit, and who is it? And the beautiful girl behind Smoker is naturally Tashigi. Smoker, the unknown person who has never heard of, is not only a disgusting man, but also an idiot who dares to offend his concubine. Hancock looked arrogant, it was the tall empress who looked down on the mediocre mortals in the world. UB***************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** was immediately very angry. Advertisement. However, before he could finish his words, a red high-heeled shoe had been kicked into his face. What? The speed is so fast. Smoker's eyes widened, there was no time to react, and he was kicked out hundreds of meters away, rolled on the ground, and couldn't get up for a long time. Smoker Captain. Tashigi Warong paled and ran over to check Smoker's injury. The culprit, Hancock, didn't look at Smoker at all, as if he had just done a trivial thing. Hancock's beautiful eyes were again placed on Dover in the sky without blinking. Boom, boom. Garp stepped on the moonwalk, and the air seemed to become a solid under his feet. Finally, Garp came to Dover. Heavenly Yaksha, did you instigate Ace to be a pirate? Garp came up with a question. Dover stood with his hand in hand, and said lightly. So what is it not? Even without me, the one who should come will eventually come. Garp couldn't understand the mystery in Dover's words, but the information he wanted had already been obtained. Garp gave a pair of iron fists, rubbing tightly. Very well, plus the old man's previous account, I will forget it with you today. The next moment, Garp's fist was covered with a layer of black armament hockey. As a fruitless powerhouse, the reason why Garp was able to destroy Rock's pirate, and the reason why he was able to push Roger into despair dozens of times, relied on his superb armament hockey, and relied on his pair of iron fists. Hockey like this is indeed an iron fist Garp who ranks among the top powerhouses by relying on physical skills alone. Dover's eyes condensed, and a war intent was born in his heart. He has passed through to the present, although he has played against many top powerhouses such as Kaido, Aokiji, and Hawkeye. But hockey's confrontation alone has never happened before. And Garp, undoubtedly an expert at hockey, is an excellent trial opponent. Buzz. Unparalleled. No less than Garp's armed color, it also covers the fist, making it black. And when Garp hit with a fist, Dover also slammed out with a punch. People found that Joker used hockey and Garp Vice Admiral head-to-head, and couldn't help but gloat. Then Joker is going to be unlucky. He can fight Garp Vice Admiral against hockey mortals. Except for One Piece Roger, there is no one yet. Advertisement. Yes, it is said that even Marshal Sengoku is not as armed as Garp Vice Admiral. Hearing these comments from Marine, the Evil King and others smiled again. Don't you really need to help the Joker boss? The Joker boss seems to have chosen the wrong way to confront the enemy. Hey, even those of us who are not afraid of these days, and have heard of the reputation of Tekken Garp, how can we go head to head with him? The boss of Joker is misguided. They questioned, with some mockery on their faces. However, in the next quarter of an hour, the mocking color on their faces instantly solidified. I saw it. Garp's iron fist and Dover's fist finally collided. Neither of them uses hockey, which wraps their fists like emission, but is simply armed. The two fists are not separated from the air like Whitebeard and Kong, but fist to fist, real collision. Wei Kwong Wei. As soon as the fist touched, it made a metal-piercing sound. Noisy, there were sparks, and the sound alone made many people feel dizzy. Joker actually blocked Garp Vice Admiral's fist. The person who questioned just now was dumbfounded, and his heart was shocked. As Garp himself, his expression has changed slightly. Even though he didn't underestimate Doffer, he was surprised by the fact that the opponent caught a punch so easily. It seems that the strength of Zhao's this day and night is even stronger than the old man had imagined before. Old man, you can't keep your hands. A thought flashed through his mind, and the strength on Garp's fist and hockey suddenly doubled. Oh, do you have any reservations? Dover's eyes flashed, and he unceremoniously doubled his strength and hockey. Buzzing. In the void, there seemed to be thunder and lightning roaring. The endless black hockey, wrapped around the two of them, dyed the sky black. And in the center of the fist collision, wisps of purple and black lightning appeared, and then turned into circles of black ripples, rippling around. Infinite power, soaring into the sky. The dark clouds are rolling, the sea is roaring, and even the sky seems to be cracking. Such a shocking sight made everyone on the field stunned and petrified. And the evil king and others who questioned Dover's strength just now have their eyes protruding, and their jaws are almost shocked. Chapter 169, A Duel of the World's Top Powerhouses. Guild for subscription. Advertisement. With Dover and Garp as the center, the black hockey waves are sweeping across the country. For a time, the wind and the clouds moved, and the colossal aura was overpowering the world. This terrifying power even surpasses the confrontation between Whitebeard and Kong just now. Throughout Marineford, people involuntarily stopped their movements and watched this scene in amazement. The criminals who came out of the 6th floor of Impel Down, the expression on their faces at this moment was like seeing a ghost, and it took a long time to laugh. The Joker boss is really powerful, I should really suck my mouth just now. Yuji Shiryu suppressed the shock in his heart. Although he didn't say anything just now, he actually had doubts about the strength of Dover he saw for the first time. But now, Shiryu's original suspicion has completely disappeared. Crocodile's eyes showed admiration and submissiveness unconcealed at this time. The former 7 warlords of the sea, who was originally ambitious in Alabasta, is now convinced of Dover's unpredictable methods and unparalleled strength. 270 at the other end. Sengoku's expression was extremely solemn, and Dover was so powerful that he was also extremely shocked. In addition, Admiral Aokiji, who has seen Dover's strength, and Eagle Eye, the world's largest swordsman, also sighed in their hearts. That man's strength seems to be stronger than before. Or, he never used his true strength when he and I confronted. Even Whitebeard and Kong are scornful. Ha ha ha, Whitebeard, our limelight was robbed by young people. Whitebeard looked at Dover's figure in the sky with a light from the corner of his eyes, and said. We are all remnants of the era. The old boy Garp is also old, and the future will eventually be the world of young people. But, Sora, the stronger the man, this is not a good thing for you Marine. Kong's expression changed. Whitebeard was right. He already knew that the man named Doflamingo was the man behind this unprecedented war. The person, even more so, united with Aunt Kaido, in a vain attempt to destroy Marine. This kind of threat is almost comparable to the rocks of the past. What a terrible young man. Kong sighed deeply. But at this time he had no choice but to take one step at a time, and his duty at the moment was to stop Whitebeard. The top powerhouses, all because of Dover's performance, showed deep fear, including Red Hair, Beckman, Akainu and Kizaru. Advertisement. Gia ha ha ha, little ones, take advantage of Marine's distraction and kill them by surprise. It was Kaido, who did not know when, came to the fleet he had brought from Wanokuni. With a loud cry, the pirates who were headed by Jin and Quay immediately screamed and killed Marine. Not good. 4 emperors Kaido has acted. An elite vice admiral was shocked, and was about to draw his sword to resist, when Kaido had a mace, and his brain broke. Kill all Marine. Kaido looked up to the sky and laughed wildly. Damn it. Sengoku's face was extremely ugly when he saw this scene. Secret troops, stop them. Yes, Mr. Sengoku. Momosuge and the T-Dolphin took the lead, and immediately led the monsters made based on Kaido to attack. These monsters deserved to join Kaido's lineage factor. They were powerful and their defenses were amazing. For a while, the group of pirates who had been killed were unable to fight back. Be bad. But, this situation was quickly broken. A huge pink figure landed among these monsters. Well, let me catch you and go back and study the secrets of Jontization. This huge figure is the 4 emperors Big Mom. Compared to the monsters that were created, the ant is the real monster. Whether it was a cannonball or a sword, it fell on her without leaving a trace. What? As soon as the ant stretched out her hand, she shot dozens of Marines and lifted a monster weapon like an ant. Weird monster. The Marines were horrified, terrible fear of the ant. Kaido and the ant's attack could not be stopped by ordinary Marines alone. It seems that the old man has to take action too. Advertisement. Sengoku took a deep breath, and then the golden light was released, and in a blink of an eye it turned into a huge golden Buddha statue. Sengoku, the Buddha, appeared. Kaido, let the old man teach you this kid. Sengoku rose into the sky and fell from the sky. The huge golden Buddha's palm slapped Kaido with a powerful shock wave. The half-done guy, prepare the coffin as soon as possible. Kaido was furious, his arm muscles bulged like a mountain, and his mace was wrapped with purple-black lightning. Thunder 8 trigrams. When Sengoku stopped Kaido, there was also a tall figure standing in front of the ante. Library Kuzan Admiral. Marines were overjoyed, it was Aokiji who came to stop the ant. Aokiji let out a breath, and the air froze. Can't let you be so unscrupulous anymore, Big Mom. Although Aokiji does not agree with the justice of the world government, protecting people's lives is the justice in his heart. Hey, the ant smiled sharply. Then you can give it a try, frozen kid. The battle between the two broke out immediately. For a time, the top powerhouses on the entire battlefield all fought together. Specifically, they are Dover vs. Garp, Whitebeard vs. Kong, Kaido Sengoku, Anti vs. Aokiji, Redhead vs. Akainu, Beckman vs. Kizaru. So many duels between the world's top powerhouses are earth-shattering, unparalleled in the past and the present. Chapter 170 Sabo appears, Ace is rescued, 2 more kneels for subscription. Advertisement. This is a huge battle that cannot be described in words. 4 emperors of New World, Martial Admiral at the apex of Marine. These people, usually just one person, is enough to make the situation change and a country surrenders. And at this moment, they are all gathered in Malinfin, a lot. Between the gestures, exuding with great power. When they collided with each other, thunder and lightning flashed, and the sky fell apart. Gudong. A Marine Rear Admiral swallowed and turned pale. This is terrible, I feel like I shouldn't be here. Including those New World big pirates who are offering hundreds of millions of dollars in rewards, they are also in shock at this time, and they shrink their necks subconsciously. Even though their strength is good, they are as fragile and small as children in front of the top powerhouses who move the world with their hands. Don't be distracted, although the boss of the pirate side has been dragged down, the enemy still has 3 plagues and captain-level characters. Marine Elite Vice Admiral Mole shouted. Hey, didn't you forget us at all? Plague Quinn chuckled his mustache and smiled. Wherever he passed, poisonous gas spread, making the necks of Marine soldiers around him appear strangely green and painful. Beside Quinn, there were flame embers, and the flames filled his whole body, and Marine died when he touched it. Admiral is not here, because we are not their opponents at all. The Marines stepped back, wherever they could stop Quinn and Jin. 2 of them, leave it to us. Admiral Alternate Momosugi and T-Dolphin walked over. The other side, Marco, the captain of the Whitebeard division, grinned when he saw Quinn and Jin being stopped by the 2 Admiral Alternates. Now, no one can stop me. Marco opened the wings of the Phoenix behind his back and flew fast towards the execution platform. Ace, I'm here to save you. Advertisement. Ace on the execution stage, in fact, has been in a certain state of perplexity since the beginning. He vaguely realized that the purpose of this war was probably not just to kill him by this time. Ace looked up, staring blankly at the figure of the stalwart man who was fighting with Grandpa Garp, who was still relaxing like a walk in the garden. In a daze, he seemed to have returned to the deserted island a few years ago. At that time, he wanted to hunt a big pirate, known as East Blue, but met Dover and was easily crushed by that man. That was the first time Ace realized his weakness. At that time, he swore that one day he would defeat that man and become the strongest in the world. However, after meeting the old man Whitebeard, Ace's mind changed. The warmth and freedom Whitebeard gave him made Ace forget his original intention to go to sea, and even deliberately forget the existence of that man. But now, when the man fought with Grandpa Garp, his boundless power has once again deeply impacted Ace's soul. Ace, I'm here to save you. Jay ran, yelled to make Ace come back to his senses. Marco was already close to the execution platform and saw that Ace was unharmed, and smiled. Get your energy up, Ace, Dad and everyone are fighting desperately for you. Ace's tears filled his eyes all at once. It was the warmth of home that made Ace willingly forget his ambitions and stay on his father's boat. Hey, kid, don't think that if Sengoku and the others are not there, no one will guard here. Just as Marco was about to arrive at the execution platform, something happened suddenly. An old voice suddenly rang in his ears. At the same moment, a thin old man stood in front of him. Marco slammed the brakes, staring at the short figure in front of him, and raised his eyes. The old man should go home and take a good rest. I don't want to bully the old man. Hee, young people don't talk big words casually. The thin old man is Marine's chief advisor, Crane. Although Marco said on the surface that he did not want to bully the elderly, he also knew very well that Tsuru is the same generation of Marine veterans as Garp and Sengoku, and his strength should not be underestimated. Seeking flowers 0. Advertisement. As for Crane, he actually wanted to fight Dover with Garp, but he just happened to notice Marco and came to stop him. And when Crane confronted Marco, he didn't notice that a sea soldier quietly had already boarded the execution platform. Good chance. The Marine soldier looked around for a long time and saw the tricky character of Marine, who was not paying attention to him at the moment. Immediately, no longer waiting, the speed suddenly accelerated to the extreme. With just a breath, I came to Ace's side, and before Ace could react, he took him away from the execution platform. 0. Who? Hearing the movement not far away, the Crane turned around abruptly, and immediately found that Ace was rescued by a seaman. What are you doing? Crane yelled. Marco also watched this scene in astonishment. What's happening here? Sengoku, who was fighting Kaido, heard the Crane's voice, and his face changed a lot. No, Ace was rescued. Who is it that pretends to be a sea soldier? And the rescued Ace was also full of doubts. Who are you? Why do you want to save me? Ha ha ha, Ace, I never thought that after so many years, you don't even know me. The sea soldier let out a familiar laugh, making Ace stunned, and a childhood memory suddenly appeared in his mind. And when the sea soldier turned his head, and Ace saw his face clearly, his face suddenly showed an unbelievable color. Sabo, it's you. The person who rescued Ace wasn't Sabo, the second in command of the Revolutionary Army, who was disguised as a seaman and kept hidden in the dark, but who was it? Chapter 171 Terrible Whitebeard, shocked Garp, 3 more Neils for subscription. Advertisement. Why are you here, Sabo? I thought you were dead all these years. Ace asked incredulously. Sabo took out the key he had prepared and unlocked the seastone chain for Ace, and explained with a smile. When I was young, I was attacked by celestial dragons and passed out. Fortunately, I was saved by Mr. Dragon, but I lost my memory. Sabo briefly explained 1 or 2 of his own experience. After seeing the news that Ace was about to be executed by Marine, my memory instantly recovered, so I came to rescue you. It turned out to be so. Ace was shocked by Sabo's experience over the years, and even more touched by Sabo's rescue in spite of danger. Thank you, Sabo. Sabo opened Ace's chain. We are brothers. Ace was stunned for a moment. Zahn even laughed. Nichisen, yes, plus Luffy, we are 3 brothers. Sabo also laughed, nostalgic for his past experience, but his expression quickly became solemn in the next moment. It's a pity now is not the time to talk about brotherhood, we are not out of danger. While talking, a marine captain carried a big knife and slashed at the 2 of them. Don't want to run away, pirates. The sword was strong, and the momentum was extraordinary, but it was blocked by a group of crows. Immediately, a black-clothed man appeared around Sabo, and 3 others appeared at the same time. It is the 4 commanders of the Revolutionary Army. It turned out to be the Revolutionary Army, they actually came here. Damn it, what does the Revolutionary Army have to do with the son of One Piece? HMPH, of course they are all anti-thief. The Marines recognized the identities of Sabo and others, and they passed it to the others. Whitebeard, who was in a close fight with Kong, forced his opponent back with 1 move, and looked in the direction from which the riots were coming, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but burst into laughter. Good, good, Ace was rescued. As for why the Revolutionary Army wanted to save Ace, Whitebeard didn't care. On the other end, holding the red-haired Akainu, his face suddenly became ugly. The Revolutionary Army is another group of people who are harmful to the world. And that Ace is not only the son of One Piece, but also mixed with the Revolutionary Army. He must wait to die. Advertisement. Akainu is angry, he will never allow the blood of the devil to continue to live in the world. Go away, red hair. Akainu fired a super large dark hound, and the magma scattered, carrying the scorching heat that melted everything. Even the red-haired Shanks, faced with Akainu's angry blow, had to retreat 1 or 2 times. Akainu forced Shanks back, and without a word, rushed in the direction of Ace, Sabo and others. Is Ace saved? Although the red hair retreated temporarily, he was not injured. Seeing that Ace was rescued, I couldn't help but feel relieved. Great. In this way, not only will Captain Roger's son survive, this war may also be prevented. What the red hair is thinking about is still to stop this war that will bring huge catastrophic consequences. But prerequisite, Ace must not be killed by Akainu. Just as the red hair was about to continue to block Akainu, Jay Ranjian, the whole Marineford, shook violently. Whitebeard. The red hair immediately looked at Whitebeard, and only Whitebeard could cause such a huge shock. Goo la 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 la. I saw Whitebeard laughing loudly, and the shock just now was caused by his laughter. No, Ace was rescued, Whitebeard has nothing to fear. Kong's face changed. He had just fought Whitebeard, knowing that Whitebeard was actually suppressing his abilities because he was afraid of spreading to the execution platform. But at this moment, Ace is rescued, and Whitebeard has no more scruples. Sengoku, who is facing off with Kaido, also knows this point. Oops, Marineford is in danger. Sengoku, who has fought with Whitebeard for decades, knows exactly how terrifying Whitebeard is going all out. However, some people don't know. A Marine Vice Admiral suddenly attacked Whitebeard. Not good. Kong and Sengoku changed color at the same time. I saw Whitebeard, as if he didn't know the sneak attack from behind. He threw Kong Yunchi into the sky, his upper arm muscles bulged high, and his palms were like sharp claws, grabbing the air and tearing it down. The air seemed to be solid, and it was torn in an instant. Accompanying it, an indescribable terrifying air shock spread across this world. Advertisement. Boom. The sky seemed to collapse in an instant. Marineford and the surrounding sea are more like cakes, cut into pieces and leaning toward the bottom of the sea. Wow. The sea is boiling. The earth is cracked. Throughout Marineford, countless buildings collapsed. As for the Marine Vice Admiral that sneaked on Whitebeard, it was even more distorted, bleeding from the 7 orifices, and falling to the bottom of the sea. Countless people were shocked by such a terrifying sight. Whitebeard of damn it, must Marineford sink into the sea? Sengoku rubbed his fist tightly. It's a shame that the old man has become like this when he is here. Kong didn't look calm at the beginning, it looked quite ugly. But in fact, we can't blame Kong for not doing his best, or that Kong is not Whitebeard's opponent. In fact, it's all because of Whitebeard's fruiting ability is too ridiculous. Once a major earthquake occurs, the sky will be broken, the ground will be shaken, and the gods will come. In the entire field, the only ones that were not affected by the Whitebeard earthquake are probably Dover and Garp, who hit high above the sky. Since Dover and Garp played against Garp, the two have been playing hockey duel. In order not to affect other people, Garp deliberately increased the distance. Therefore, it happened to be in the arms of Dover. At this moment, the two of them are at a height of kilometers from Marineford. Dover stood with his hand, 0.3 looked at Garp on the opposite side, and said lightly. Garp, don't you go down and take a look. Marineford is going to sink like this if Whitebeard continues. Garp's face became solemn to the extreme, and he was shocked to find that the opponent's strength was not inferior to him when he fought against Dover. More importantly, the opponent hasn't used Devil Fruit's ability yet. This makes Garp feel terrified. When did this man who had been chased by cranes run around, become so powerful? Therefore, even if he is worried about the safety of Marineford, Garp cannot go on. He must stare at the man in front of him at all times to prevent him from doing anything more terrifying than Whitebeard. As for the following things, you can only rely on Kong and Sengoku. Chapter 172 Red-Haired Proposal, Hard to Choose Sengoku, 4 more Neils for subscription. Advertisement. The huge earthquake caused by Whitebeard made Marineford almost half destroyed. The Marine headquarters, which stood for hundreds of years in the world, also collapsed. Mixed Protein Akainu, who was chasing Ace, had to stop temporarily because of the huge earthquake. Seeing that Marineford was destroyed like this in an instant, the veins on Akainu's face were bulging, and his anger was rising. Akainu sprinkled this anger on the pirate's head. He raised his arms and his fists turned red. Meteor volcano. Boom boom boom. The fist that turned into magma shot out, and then turned into a burning meteorite, which fell from the sky and hit the pirates. Under Akainu's deliberate control, most of the meteorites attacked in the direction of Ace and Sabo. Dragon Claw Fist. Facing the meteorite hit from the air, Sabo stretched out his right hand, armament hockey covered it, and squeezed a meteorite with one hand. Huh, dare to shoot my son, Magma Imp. Whitebeard in the distance saw this scene, and the shock wave covered the blade of the Cloud Cutter 111 and made a slash in the direction of Akainu. Noisy. The atmosphere is torn apart like a mirror. The powerful vibration rushed to Akainu, and wherever it passed, a deep gully was left on the ground. Not good. Akainu sensed the crisis, but it was too late. The body seemed to slam into a big mountain, flew out uncontrollably, and hit the building on the execution platform. Wow. The smoke was scattered, and Akainu's forehead was dripping blood. Although he was not seriously injured, he was still ashamed and face lost. Akainu, don't bury him. The current situation is not suitable for chasing and killing Ace. Sengoku, who had escaped from the battle with Kaido, regained his original body, and said solemnly. But, what more Akainu had to say, Sengoku interrupted directly. The old man knows what you mean. Ace's blood is flowing with One Piece, and his life and death are related to the face of Marine. However, now is not the time to care about the face, but the life and death of Marine. Advertisement. Sengoku looked up suddenly. Don't forget, there is still that man. The person Sengoku refers to is naturally Dover. Just now, Sengoku not only has to control the situation on the ground, but also has been secretly observing the situation in the air. In the battle between Dover and Garp, Sengoku became more and more frightened, astonished by Dover's terrifying strength. In particular, the other party is still an ambition with a deep intention and good at hiding. In Sengoku's mind, Dover's threat level is even higher than that of Whitebeard. At this time, there is Kaido who is looking at the air at the same time, who has lost his opponent. Joker's strength is really amazing. A deep jealousy flashed in Kaido's eyes. But as far as the current situation is concerned, the stronger the Joker, the more advantageous it is for them. Kaido's eyes rolled, and his huge body actually walked towards Whitebeard. Whitebeard, long time no see. Kaido took the initiative to say hello to Whitebeard. Huh, Kaido. Whitebeard was also quite surprised by Kaido's approach, his eyes started to close. Although both of them belong to Rock's pirate, the relationship has always been quite bad. Ha ha ha. Kaido seemed to forget that the relationship between himself and Whitebeard was tense, like a longtime old friend, ha ha laughed. Whitebeard, the current situation is dominated by our pirates, and the ace you want to save has already been rescued, so there is no need to worry about it. What do you mean, Kaido? I mean, Kaido sees poorly. I mean, everyone might as well join hands and destroy Marine together. As soon as this statement came out, the expressions of Sengoku, Kong and others changed drastically. 4 emperors, is this going to be united together? Just now, even though the situation is dangerous, the 4 emperors are actually fighting on their own, and they Marine can barely handle it. However, once the 4 emperors join forces, it will not be a simple superposition of strength, but will cause a qualitative change. In that way, Marine is really at stake. The entire Marineford, I am afraid, will be crushed and destroyed by the power of the 4 emperors in an instant. Advertisement. Thinking of the terrible consequences, Sengoku couldn't help feeling nervous all over. Joining hands. Whitebeard spoke. His eyes are like the Supreme King, even if it is the Emperor who is facing the sea, he must bow his head to him. Kaido, you forgot, my brother Odin, but he died in your hands. Kaido's expression was stagnant, and his face was a little gloomy. Now that Whitebeard mentioned Odin, he knew his abacus was lost. At this time, Shanks the redhead came over. The red hair looked at Kaido warily, and said to Whitebeard. Whitebeard, Ace has been saved, there is no need to fight this war anymore. Then, the red hair turned around again and raised his voice to Sengoku and other Marines. 273 inches and everyone at Marine, I hope you can sell my face, put down the weapons in your hand, and stop chasing Ace. As soon as the voice fell, there was Marine Kaido. Let down the weapon. How could it be possible? You are the pirate who wants to let it go. As for the son of One Piece, he must die. Otherwise, the blood of the dead companions will shed in vain. There was a lot of voice, and most Marines were ridiculous about the redhead's advice. However, at this moment, Marshal Sengoku shouted suddenly. Quiet. The Marines immediately closed their mouths and looked at Sengoku in disbelief. Does the Marshal Master agree to the Redhead's request? In fact, Sengoku was in a dilemma at this time. If he refuses to continue the war with the Red Hair, the loss that Marine will suffer will surely be dozens or hundreds of times more. Even the entire Marine is likely to be overthrown. However, if they compromise with the pirates, then the Marine will have any prestige in the world in the future. How should he Sengoku explain to the world government and the dead Marines? Sengoku's eyes could not help but reveal the color of struggle. Chapter 173. Why do you think the war is over? 5 more seeking subscription. Advertisement. Sengoku was hesitating. Whitebeard was also shaken by the Redhead's proposal. After all, Whitebeard's purpose here is to save Ace. Now that Ace has been rescued, his goal can be said to have been achieved. If Marine is willing to stop chasing Ace, then Whitebeard, who has always attached great importance to family affection, naturally does not want to let his subordinates suffer more casualties. Redhead knew this about Whitebeard, so that when he saw Ace being rescued, he gave birth to hope of stopping the war. Then the most important thing is to look at Marine's attitude. Not to mention how difficult it is for Sengoku to choose, the Redhead is looking at the former hopingly. Just say Kaido. After hearing the Redhead's proposal and noticing Whitebeard's intention, his expression changed drastically. If Whitebeard and Redhead reconciled with Marine, how should Kaido deal with him? You know, the purpose of Kaido and his mother here is to destroy Marine. At least, he has to inflict heavy damage on Marine. Assuming that without Whitebeard and Red Hair attracting most of Marine's combat power, wouldn't Marine concentrate all of its power on their side? It's not good, it's not good. Don't mention the destruction of Marine now, lousy may capsize. Kaido's thoughts turned swiftly, but his figure moved back silently. Kaido is not a fool, but a burial husband like 273 on the surface. Kaido's style of doing things is Kaido's style of running when he sees the situation as bad. However, things have not yet developed in the worst-case scenario. Of course, Kaido will not run away from Marineford immediately like a coward. He came to the ant's face and informed the ant of his worries. The ant also changed her expression, knowing that things had deviated from their original plan. The ant said decisively, if Whitebeard and Redhead become a tortoise, we will also leave immediately. Where is Joker? Kaido looked up to the sky. The ant sneered. This was originally the plan he made, but now it's out, he can figure it out by himself. Obviously, the ant did not regard Dover as a real accomplice. Once something goes wrong, he will be sold decisively. The same goes for Kaido. Even Kaido is still thinking that if he can use Marine's hand to remove Joker's confidant trouble that has been concealed on his side, that would be a great thing comparable to destroying Marine. When Joker is dead, his man-made devil fruit factory is lousies. Thinking of this, Kaido be bad and even hope that Marine and Whitebeard will reconcile. If Dover knew what Kaido was thinking at the moment, there would be a sneer at the corner of his mouth. Advertisement. Kaido actually wanted to seize his man-made devil fruit factory. Ridiculous. Everyone knows that its base camp Wanokuni and Ghost Island have long changed hands. After a fierce ideological struggle, Sengoku looked at Kong. Kong is the commander-in-chief of the world government, and his status is higher than that of Sengoku. No matter what decision is made, he must be asked for his opinion. Kong and Sengoku have the same concerns. On one side, Marine may be defeated and even destroyed, at least it will suffer a great deal of damage. On the one hand, Marine's prestige will be lost and will face severe blame from 5 elders, but Marine can be preserved. Such a choice is really difficult. Moreover, there is not much time left for them to consider. Every minute and a second of time elapses, more changes are possible. Promise the Redhead's request. Kong was silent for a while and said. The penalty on the 5 elders' side will be borne by the commander in charge of me. Sengoku nodded, he actually tended not to let Marine suffer more losses. As for the prestige that Marine is about to lose, it can be slowly regained in the future. Illustration. Sengoku took a deep breath, facing the Red Hair and Whitebeard, and said in a deep voice. The old man promised not to chase Ace again and let you leave Marineford. However, you also have to agree to a request from the old man. The Redhead was overjoyed when he heard that Marine finally let go. It's not in vain that he has spent so much effort, and this war that will have disastrous consequences can finally be stopped. Red Hair asked, any request? Sengoku clenched his fist. That is the next war between Marine and Kaido, Auntie, especially Doflamingo, you can't participate in it. This statement came out. The Red Hair was stunned, it seems that Marine does not want to let Kaido and the others, especially the Joker. The Red Hair thought a little, and nodded in agreement. In his opinion, although the combined strength of Kaido, Auntie, and Joker is extremely terrifying, there is still a big gap compared to the current Marine's combined combat power. Kaido and Auntie will definitely not go head-to-head with Marine again. Advertisement. As for the Joker, although the Redhead can't see through it, he thinks that Joker is a smart man, and he should know that his plan has failed, and there is no point in continuing. As a result, the truce and reconciliation of Whitebeard, Redhead, and Marine are almost fixed. Above the sky, both Dover and Garp have top-notch observation hockey. Although it is far away, I have heard the conversation underneath. Garp breathed a sigh of relief. Grandson Ace is saved, and the red-haired war between Marine and Whitebeard stops. For Garp, this is undoubtedly a better ending. And the rest that needs to be solved is the man in front of me. Garp's eyes suddenly became extremely sharp. Heavenly Yaksha, do you hear me? Your plan has been ruined, and your general trend is gone. The war is over. You are here too. Jundang's voice was extremely loud. If someone were to be here, even a 4 Emperors level character, facing this situation, he would definitely turn pale and retreat when he heard Garp say this. However, Dover's expression never changed a bit from beginning to end. His expression was indifferent, and there was no emotion in his eyes. He stood with his hand in his hand, standing in the void, like a god on the 9 heavens, everything seemed to be under his control. Seeing Dover like this, Garp's heart choked. For no reason, a premonition of extreme anxiety surged into his heart. Next moment, an indifferent voice came from the man who looked like a god. Pass it to Garp's mind, pass it to everyone's ears below. Why do you think that this war is over? The following protagonist is about to burst into a small universe. Has the reader greatly guessed what the protagonist will do next? Haha. Chapter 174. The world is terrifying. The birdcage besieged Marineford. Advertisement. Dover's voice, like Hong Zhang Dalu, echoed clearly in everyone's ears. Everyone on Marineford couldn't help raising their heads, looking up at the man in the sky with different expressions. Kaido whispered, Joker is going to continue to fight. The ant sneered and said, we need to go crazy with him again. Now, Whitebeard and Hongfa have reconciled with Marine, and their situation is very bad. The two are already observing in secret, ready to slip away at any time. And deep in Kaido's pupils, there was a glimmer of excitement that was imperceptible. Joker wants to continue to fight with Marine. Okay, that's great. When you are killed by Marine, your man-made devil fruit factory will be lousies. Kaido's wishful thinking is still the man-made demon fruit he never forgets. Hawkeye didn't make any more big moves except for a while after blocking the red hair at first. He was watching the development of the situation with cold eyes. What exactly is the change of the times that Dover is talking about? Hawkeye still can't see clearly. It's just that, in the current situation, Whitebeard's red hair is about to retreat, and Kaido and the ant are obviously not the kind of reliable people. What is he going to do? Hawkeye stared deeply at the stalwart figure in the sky, completely unable to guess the other party's true thoughts. Aokiji had just fought with the ant, and suffered no harm. When Dover's voice was heard, a complex color flashed in his eyes. Aokiji agrees with that man's argument about justice. But Aokiji is a moderate reformer after all. If the world is to be changed, a huge war must be waged, and countless people will be killed and injured, then he does not agree. However, in the current situation, the man was still unwilling to give up. Is he really going to fight against the entire Marine with one person? Aokiji admits that Dover is extremely powerful, but wanting to fight against the entire Marine alone is wishful thinking. Even if it is the resurrection of One Piece Roger, it is impossible to do it. You don't want to be such an ignorant idiot, what other means should you have? Aokiji thought to himself, and his heart couldn't help but hang up. People have different minds. The redhead's eyes were condensed, and his fists were clenched. The war is over. That guy, are you going to mess around? As a person who tried to stop this war, Red Hair is the last person to want to see any accidents happen. Even Whitebeard frowned. He hasn't had much contact with Dover, but he is even close to Garp. Obviously he is not a simple man. Advertisement. At this moment, the most disturbed one is, apart from Garp, it is probably Sengoku. Judging from the previous dealings, Sengoku knows that that man is definitely not a targetless person. Since the person dared to say such things, there must be some terrible means that Sengoku didn't know, waiting behind. Damn it! Sengoku shouted loudly. Doflamingo, what exactly are you planning to do? What is your purpose? Above the sky, Dover looked indifferent like an emperor looking down at all living beings. Do what? Buddha howl ha ha ha. It's just ruining this decadent world. Sengoku and Garp were shocked. But before he had time to say anything, Dover's figure suddenly moved. Not good. Garp's face changed drastically, and Dover was coming to him. The armed color instantly covers his arms, but Dover's fist is faster. Boom. The fist didn't touch Garp's arm at all, it was separated by a space. This is the top hockey, accompanied by conquerors. Buzz. An indescribable huge power suddenly fell from the sky. This colossal power is like a big mountain, pressing on the hearts of everyone, almost letting people breathe. In just the blink of an eye, thousands of people fainted. Conquerors. The rest were horrified. Even the red hair who claims to have the world's strongest conquerors, his face is instantly dignified to the extreme. With so many strong players on the scene, conquerors can cover such a large area, and the intensity even makes me feel the pressure. That man's conquerors is still above me. And the next moment, a scene that shocked everyone even more happened. I saw Garp, the strongest marine hero, lost to Dover's punch. The body was like a cannonball, it was blown out and fell to the ground from a high altitude, and the whole Marineford was violently shocked. Garp. Sengoku was shocked and rushed to the center of the pit where Garp was smashed. Cough cough cough. Garp coughed up a mouthful of blood and stood up with Sengoku's support. Advertisement. The old man was fine, and finally covered his whole body with armed color. Sengoku was relieved, and immediately stared at the man in the sky with a fiercely limited gaze. Seeking flowers 0. Doflamingo, UB ******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** people fall into a great shock. Top powerhouses such as Whitebeard, Red Hair, Kaido, Anti, Kong, Akainu, Kizaru, Shing are all in shock. And when everyone's eyes were drawn, Dover was attracted to the past tense. No one noticed that the pirate Empress Hancock had left Marineford's area at some point. She was standing on the Nine-Snake ship, her beautiful eyes staring at the man who looked like a god. The man looks down on all beings, and his posture and haughty are above all, making her feel swayed and unable to control herself. At the same time, Crocodile also quietly returned to Marineford. Why retire? Master Joker is going to have a fight with Marine. Yeah, we swear to follow Master Joker. The evil king and others said one after another. Just now Dover's power has completely convinced these unruly criminals. Crocodile took a deep breath, stared up at the sky with a look as if looking up at a god, and slowly said. Because the next thing is no longer us, we can intervene. It turned out that Dover had ordered Hancock and Crocodile to avoid. Watch it. Crocodile suddenly smashed the cigarette with his palm, and his voice couldn't help but tremble. An unparalleled drama that has never existed in history, it is about to begin. It seems to be responding to Crocodile's words. The originally clear sky, in J ran, dimmed. As if the night is coming, eternal night is coming. What's the matter? It's still very late before dark. The people were panicked and panicked. Is it a dark cloud? The Joker drew the celestial phenomenon, is it going to drop a thunderstorm? The top powers can cause changes in the sky, just like Kaido and Andy first arrived at Marineford. No, it's not a dark cloud. One suddenly yelled in horror. It's a thread, countless black threads. As soon as the words fell into Sengoku's ears, as if thinking of something, Sengoku suddenly turned his head and looked around Marineford. Immediately, Sengoku trembled and screamed in disbelief. Birdcage. Heavenly Yaksha B*************** D. Use Birdcage to besiege everyone on Marineford. 3. Chapter 175 Kaido is furious. The indestructible black birdcage. Advertisement. Countless lines that are as dark as ink. Falling from the sky, it fell around Marineford and included the entire Marineford and the periphery of the port. The line goes deep into the ground, and the covered black color renders the sky and the earth into ink. The darkness suddenly came, and it made people uneasy. From a height, the island where Marineford is located seems to be surrounded by steel pillars. It looks like a huge prison. What the hell is this? Now, whether it was the pirate or Marine, there was a commotion. That Joker, is it to trap us all to death here? Damn it, he is too arrogant. It's just a wishful thinking to trap so many of us with these threads. Let's cut them off together. People picked up their swords and cannons, aimed them at the birdcage around Marineford, and attacked wildly. Boom. Countless slashes and cannons sounded. When the smoke dissipated, people were stunned. They just attacked so fiercely as 273, but they didn't have the slightest effect. It's useless. At this moment, Garp spoke up suddenly. These threads are not ordinary threads, they cover Heavenly Yaksha's haki. If haki can't match that man, it's impossible to cut. Garp's voice is extremely solemn. He just after the battle with Dover knows how tyrannical the opponent's haki is. This black birdcage is definitely not so easy to be destroyed. How could this happen? Can we just wait to die? Everyone was panicked. No, it's not impossible. Sengoku finally recovered from the extreme shock just now. As the resourceful general, even in the face of such a situation, his mind is extremely turned and he came up with a countermeasure. That man's haki is indeed tyrannical, I am afraid that he can't resist it personally. But don't forget, we have nearly 200,000 people here. As soon as this statement was made, the spreading panic was immediately relieved. Yes, 200,000 people, each contribute a little haki, and the birdcage can be wiped out by grinding. Ha ha ha, you really deserve to be Marshal Sengoku. Seeing people relax, Sengoku was also relieved, and continued. Moreover, the most important thing is that we still have the world's top powerhouse. The top powerhouses naturally refer to him Sengoku, Kong, Garp, 3 Admiral, and 4 Emperors. Just now, Sengoku really felt terrified because Dover wanted to trap all of them to death. But after calming down, Sengoku didn't panic. Because Dover's plan is too big. Even though Birdcage is a terrible move, and it covers haki. But don't forget, there are a lot of top experts in Marineford right now. If these top powerhouses make a shot together, even if the Rocks and Roger are here, they will have to hold their heads. It's just that the pirate and Marine are not in the same camp after all. Whether they will join forces is still a matter of 2 parties. Father, what should we do? Advertisement. Marco flew to Whitebeard's side and asked. Whitebeard has been watching Dover in the sky since just now. Dover's behavior surprised him. Whitebeard. They actually trapped them in Pirate City and Marine together, are you planning to kill them all at once? What a whimsical idea. A dangerous light flashed in Whitebeard's eyes. Even Roger wouldn't dare to do this, that kid, that's too shabby. Marco grinned, but he was not at all worried about the current situation. After all, such a strong person is here, no matter how you look at it, it is impossible to be trapped by a single person. Whitebeard seemed to agree to join forces, let alone the redhead. Sengoku looked at the last Kaido, the ant. Kaido and Auntie are actually on the edge of Marineford. The two of them had just thought of running off when the situation was bad, but Dover's birdcage came down too fast, and they were trapped before they could leave Marineford's range. Joker B*************************** D, he didn't tell us with this hand. Kaido's face is quite ugly. Hey, Kaido, the ant screamed angrily, What does he mean? Why does he surround us? How does Lousy know? Kaido roared, then looked to the sky and shouted. Joker, let go of birdcage and let us out. We are allies. Ally. Dover in the sky, hearing Kaido's words, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but evoke sarcasm. Kaido. The voice of sarcasm came from Dover's mouth. You and the ant just wanted to run away, so you sold me. Kaido's tone stagnated, and his face turned green. Unexpectedly, all the little movements of him and Linlin were seen by Joker. Kaido turned into anger for a while, simply tore his face, and roared. Then what do you want to do, Joker? Do you want to kill me and Linlin together? Xiao Pi Xiao. Dover smiled coldly. That's fine. What? Kaido was immediately furious. The blue veins all over his body bulged out. He let out a thunderous roar. Joker, you goddamn B*************** D, demon. The ant was also angry, and the two did not calculate Dover, but they were calculated by the other party. Joker, you will regret it. Kaido shouted again, then turned to Sengoku's side. Marine, and Whitebeard old man, red hair, let's take action together and ruin this broken birdcage. Sengoku was overjoyed when he saw this, but Doflamingo turned his face with Kaido and the ant. I really don't know if he has another dependency, or he is so arrogant that he can't find north. At the moment, under the overall arrangement of Sengoku, nearly 200,000 pirates and marines are distributed around Marineford. Certainly, these creeps are just support. Whether they can break birdcage or not depends on the top powerhouses. Buzz. In the void, an atmosphere of ultimate depression rippled. Advertisement. It seems that even the air knows that there is a group of terrifying strong men who are about to launch a thunder attack. Preparation. Just listen to Sengoku yelling and transform into the form of a big Buddha, with the Buddha's palm facing the birdcage on a high place. Whitebeard's big sleeves fluttered, and there was a terrifying shock wave in his fist. The muscles in Kong's arm bulged. The red-haired hockey was wrapped around the sword. Garp used his iron fist again. Kaido carried a mace. The ant held Napoleon. Akainu's right arm turned into magma. Kizaru's whole body shone with golden light. Aokiji's palm changed into the shape of an ice bird. In addition, there are Beckman, Marco, Foyle, Jin, Quinn, etc. who are all famous in the world, as well as the nearly 200,000 seamen and pirates scattered around. All at this moment, ready to go. Attack, with an order from Sengoku. Everyone attacked birdcage at once. Such terrifying scenes can hardly be described in words. All I know is that the sky was torn to pieces in an instant. The sea is roaring frantically. Countless beasts, birds and fish, and even the sea kings far away, were shocked by the horror and air waves that filled the sky. This scene that looked like the end of the world lasted for several minutes before it slowly stopped. Did you make it? It must be a success. Such an attack is unstoppable by God. People panted and smiled and looked at the place where the birdcage was. Next second, the smiles on everyone's faces are all solidified at 0.3. Turned into incredible. Turned into incredible. I saw that the pitch-black birdcage that besieged Marineford was still in place, and it didn't even move. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Kaido seemed to have seen a ghost, and the shock from the mace made his mouth hurt, which clearly meant that birdcage was not destroyed. But how can this be possible? Kaido suddenly raised his head, looking up at the figure that looked like a demon at this moment. Joker, what the hell did you do? Xiao duo xiao ha ha ha. A low smile that seemed to float out of hell. The corners of Dover's lips evoked an arc of infinite chill in Kaido's heart. Kaido, you won't forget the seastone art I got from Wanokuni. Buddha howls. Unfortunately, this black birdcage not only covers my haki, but also contains 100% pure seastone.